can feel that one from up here, Kevin.
So they waste the 32-yard punt return by Hester. To punt now for the Chicago Bears with Brad Maynard. Terrific inside the 20. They want to keep it away from these punt return guys. He nails it there at the 12. Terrific placed punt by Maynard, and a 13-year veteran out of Ball State. 26-yard punt. 11:54 to play in the first quarter. Another look at Derek Anderson. We're scoreless in Chicago. Each team 3 plays punt. Just under 12 to play here in the first from the 12-yard line. 1st and 10, the Wildcat. That's the electrifying Cribbs who gets it. Looking for a block and then hit by a ton of Bears and brought down initially by Tommy Harris after a gain of 2. He's up to the 13-yard line. First quarter, Solomon has been a struggle for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they have really struggled to put points on the board. 0 touchdowns in the first quarter in their last 14 games that we have seen there, and they have not scored a touchdown in 3 of their 4 road games so far this year.
It's 2nd down and 8. Quarterback Anderson is back under center. Gaines is in motion. They just signed him. Anderson, what a horrible looking pass. He was throwing to Gaines. It's incomplete. He was wide open on the play. This Tommy Harris, benched last week, the 3-time Pro Bowler, has garnered a lot of headlines here in Chicago.
Yeah, and the reason why is because we all know that defense does get the headlines here in Chicago. This team is built around its defense, and Tommy Harris is the guy that fused that front 7. Lovie Smith told us that, hey, our front 7 takes us as far as we can go. They're relying on Tommy Harris to be the difference maker that Shaun Rogers is for the Cleveland Browns.
Fasher has become the 5th defensive back. 3rd down and 8. They bring the blitz. Here comes Afalava. That ball is tipped incomplete. And Danielle Manning was diving for it. A very unimpressive second series for Anderson. Another 3 and out for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, the Bears have to get pressure in the face of Anderson. That's exactly what they do. Afalava is able to get the tip. And in the secondary, we say you intercept all tips and overthrows. The Bears should have been able to come down with that one. Lovie Smith wants his defense to produce turnovers today. He says they have to get more takeaways.
Hester has already had a 32-yard punt return. Here's no rush, a very little put on Zastudil. And Hester's going to wave it off. A lot of bounce, and it will go down to about the 41-yard line, and that will set up Chicago's 2nd possession, a 45-yard punt, some shoving after the play as it involves Corey Graham. Another look at Jay Cutler, and 10:57 to play in the first.
It's on. Prescription Flomax. And by Bud Light, with the just right taste that's not too heavy, not too light. The difference is drinkability.
Two 3 and out so far by the Cleveland Browns. Chicago getting it for a 2nd time. And the first quarter has not been kind to Chicago's offense.
Only 7 points scored in the first quarter, and second fewest behind Kansas City. They've been outscored in the first quarter, 45-7 so far this year.
Knox is out there as an extra wide receiver. They threw that flag quickly, and it's a false start against the Chicago Bears.
False start. Number 13, offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
You know, Jay Cutler, we talked about him being inconsistent, a little bit up and down. And when he throws the good ones, he's able to step into his throws, deliver it off the front foot, drive the ball home. He's got an arm as good as any. When he starts to get careless with the ball, it ends up in the hands of the opposing team. And then when he throws off his back foot, the ball tends to flutter, allowing for more interceptions on the road than at home.
It's 1st and 15. There is a block by Clark and a tackle made behind the line of scrimmage by King and Coleman and Robert Smith and Trusnick. They all met back there. It's a loss of 3 and a sack, and back to the 32.
Watch Cameron Wembley. Orlando Pace is struggling. He has struggled consistently, and see the pressure off the corners forces him to step up in the pocket, and that's where he gets sacked. So both tackles right now are really struggling to keep the quarterback clean. If you don't keep Cutler clean, it's going to be a long day. Rob Ryan going to continue to come after Cutler, trying to force the turnovers.
2nd down and 18. Furry has come in as an extra defensive back for the Cleveland Browns. Pitch at Forte, and the coverage on the play by McDonald. Bring up 3rd down and long. Let's go to New York and James Brown.
After going up 7-0, the Eagles did. They picked off Eli Manning, capitalized on that when Donovan McNabb on 3rd and goal, hooks up at the tight end. Brent Selleck, 17-yard strike. The point after was blocked, so it's 13-0 Eagles. Back to Kevin and Solly.
Yeah, JB, the Eagles, how about watching that World Series game last night, thinking the football teams want to hold up their end of the deal, right, Kevin?
That's right. It's 3rd down and 18. David Bowens is coming in, and as they completely change up their defense, he was back where the defensive backs could stand. There's a catch made by Bennett, the hit by Poole, the gain to the 45, shy of a 1st down by 6 yards. It's a pickup of 12, and the Bears have got a punt again.
How do you crack the code that Rob Ryan has given Jay Cutler right now? They dropped about 4 or 5 different guys in different positions, so they gave one alignment, and then you just saw so many guys scattering into coverage. Very difficult to read for the quarterback. Jay Cutler did get rid of it, but not enough for a 1st down.
Trying to be a little inventive on the defensive end. Maynard will be punting. Cribbs is deep back. Wants the fair catch and makes it at the 15-yard line. So both teams have had it twice. All 4 possessions, 3 and out. 39-yard punt, 9:30 in the 1st.
Wally Payton. It's a Payton. Touchdown, Chicago. Wally Payton. This guy is something else.
Lindsey Nelson, Paul Hornung with the call. Payton setting a then NFL record for the most rushing yards in a game, 275. It stood for 23 years. Watch the NFL on CBS for more historic moments throughout the season. From the 15-yard line, 3rd possession for the Browns. 1st down and 10. Lewis with the block. This is the fullback Vickers, who was hit by Roach and then was taken down about the 18-yard line on a gain of 4.
Kevin, let's go back to that previous 3rd down play. This is what Rob Ryan has given Jay Cutler to read. This is your pre-snap read, and you see only 3 guys back in the secondary. Now watch as they rotate. You have guys scattering to just about every area on the field, and Cutler has to read that defense, still find the open guy. Have to be very careful against this defense where you can easily throw interceptions.
2nd down and 6 from the 19. Jamal Lewis. Looked like they had Lance Briggs, among others, in there with the stop on Lewis, and a gain on the play of about a yard, close to the 20-yard line. They're going to need a lot of Lewis today, at least to control the clock, if nothing else.
Absolutely. You know, both teams are coming off real bad losses. Cleveland Browns lost 31-6 in Green Bay, and how about the Bears lost 45-10. And so Brian Daboll, as you take a look at him, trying to dial up something just to get the offense going. And then the Chicago Bears, they have to play inspired. This is a game that could really determine the course of the remainder of their season.
3rd down and 6 with the Wildcat, and here comes Cribbs trying to force his way outside. He was hit by Manning. Afalafa was out there as well. It was a gain of 4. They had Adonijay on that defensive line, and they got a punt once again. And this for the Cleveland Browns, Solomon, is the 3rd consecutive 3 and out. They got a punt.
Yeah, and you have to use the Wildcat, and Joshua Cribbs get the ball in his hands. Think about the Cleveland Browns. They have 0 rushing touchdowns all season long, and no touchdowns by any of their wide receivers during the 2009 season.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Zastudil to punt. Neither team has gotten a 1st down as of yet in this game. Hester will get this Zastudil punt. And the ball taken at the 34-yard line, under a 4-second hang time. Nice tackle made down there, made by Alex Hall at the 32. 42-yard punt. He loses 2 on the play. 7:27 in the 1st. Here comes Cutler.
On CBS is sponsored by American Express. Your moment is waiting. American Express. Take charge. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
.7:27 here in the 1st from the 32-yard line. The Chicago Bears have it 1st down and 10. Mayava has taken the place of Trusnick right now, and here's a handoff to Forte, who is grabbed by Kenyon Coleman, so he's making his presence felt. Robert Smith with a stop as well. It is a gain of 4. The ball at the 36. And voting for the 2010 Pro Bowl has begun. Send your favorite player to South Florida for the Pro Bowl game by voting online or use your mobile phone at NFL.com/Pro Bowl. You vote, they play. From the 36, second down and 6. Couple tight ends. Forte once again blocked. Oh, there's a good stop in there by Ataba Rubin. Gain was to the 37. He picks up a yard. We talked about the focus on Cutler. The April 2nd trade sent Kyle Orton and 3 high picks to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and at times we've already shown you how he's been very good. At other times, maybe not as good. I think the point is that the wide receivers are more productive since Cutler has come to this football team. He does force the defense to have to defend every blade of grass. If you want to help Cutler, improve your run game. Look at the 5 possessions by both teams so far in this game. 5 3-and-outs, and right now if they don't convert this third down, we're going to have another 3-and-out.
6 in the secondary, 3rd and 5. Knocks the extra receiver. Here comes Cutler, gets a block. That's Forte. He's got the first down. He's chased into Cleveland territory. Brought down by Adams. The gain, the run to the 35. 28-yard catch and run. First down, Chicago.
Well, this is something that Matt Forte was so good at 1 year ago when he led the team in rushing and receiving. Now that the wide receivers have picked up in the production, he's kind of been the forgotten guy. So now you can dump it off to him on 3rd down. Look at the yards after the catch. And if you're going to drop off and have to defend the speedy wide receivers of Johnny Knox and Devin Hester, could leave Matt Forte wide open.
2 tight ends. First down and 10 from the 35. Good block by Williams, the right tackle. Here comes Barton. Here, oh, it's a fumble on the play. It's loose, and diving on it is Forte back at the 40. Basically wipes out that gigantic gain. They lose 25. Moments ago, they picked up 28. Now they're back at their own 40-yard line. Rob Ryan's defense all over the field.
Rob Ryan has thrown everything but the kitchen sink at Cutler. Watch Barton comes up the middle. He eludes him, but then he doesn't continue to try to escape Barton. Barton stayed with the play, knocked the ball out where Matt Forte has to recover it. And I think if your Cutler have greater pocket awareness, you were able to elude Barton initially, but guess what? Just because you stand there doesn't mean he's going to give up on the play. Cutler has to start with protecting the football. We said that at the top, and it still continues to be true here in the first quarter.
This offense has really sputtered, and it did last week, and it again has now. Here we've got a challenge that's been thrown out there by Lovie Smith.
Chicago is challenging the ruling on the field of a fumble. Timeout.
Was the arm moving forward? I'm sure it's what Lovie wants to see on the play.
4:43 to play here in the first quarter.
44.
Welcome back to Chicago. We are still trying to review the play as officials are trying to determine, was Jay Cutler's arm moving forward. Watching this hit by Eric Barton. Okay, there's contact made. Now, the ball is certainly not going forward. His arm's not moving forward. Still has to protect. Even when he does try to throw it, in my mind, it's a half-hearted attempt to get rid of the ball upon feeling contact, and still the arm didn't necessarily move forward. He threw the ball sideways.
The quarterback's arm was going forward, therefore it's an incomplete pass. It will be 2nd down and 10 yards from the 35-yard line. Please reset the clock to show 5:24. 5:24, please.
We've got to ask ourselves.
Chicago will not be charged with timeout.
Are quarterbacks allowed to just dump the ball and just throw it anywhere? Was that arm moving forward? The ball went sideways in my mind, Kevin. And are quarterbacks allowed to avoid a sack and risk a fumble by just shoving the ball out upon getting hit? He understood that Barton was on his back. He understood that he was under pressure and was being hit. And I thought it was a half-hearted attempt to get rid of the football once he was being hit.
It's 2nd down and 10. And here comes Forte running up the block at pace, then brought down on the play by Robert Smith after a gain of 1. He's to the 33. Let's take you to New York and James Brown.
Hey, Kevin, watch how Frank Gore, with the good Halloween name there, he does it up the middle, couple of missed tackles right there, 64 yards to pay dirt. Niners on top of the Colts, 7-0. You know, the Colts have that 15 regular season straight games of streak in place. Kevin and Solomon.
Run defense is a concern of Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm sure Frank Gore came in understanding that he could possibly make some yards on the ground with Alex Smith starting at quarterback for the Niners today.
Time secondary, 3rd and 9. Cutler's got the first down, and he swaggers his way down to the 13-yard line. And slides right there. Barton was in the vicinity. Also a hit from Furry, 19-yard pickup and a first down.
We showed you that one play where the Browns dropped a lot of people in coverage. Cutler may have to do more of this and get out of there. If you're going to drop so many in coverage and you leave yourself vulnerable, he's a mobile enough quarterback to really make you pay. Smart play that time by Jay Cutler.
So on this drive, they've had a 28-yard catch and run by Forte, a 19-yard run for a first down right there by Cutler. 7th play of the drive, couple tight ends, first down and 10. Forte, big hole on the left side. Adams will bring him down along with Mayava. It is a 6-yard pickup and a good block on that side by Beekman, the guard.
2 areas where the Browns, or I should say the Bears, have to improve. First down run plays, as you could see Forte just gashing the Browns, and then inside the red zone they have to be productive. Remember the fumble by Forte in the red zone against Atlanta in the Monday night game? Now down here, protect the football. They have to come away with touchdowns. They have not been very good inside the red zone on offense.
There's a good block too by the tight end Kellen Davis on that last play. There is a flag thrown as Rashid Davis had come in as a receiver for the first time for Chicago.
False start. Right tackle and guard. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
The tackle is Williams. The guard is Garza with a look at Lovie Smith.
Let's take a look, see if you get some movement right there. That right tackle, 74 Williams, moving just a tad too early.
Knox is in with Cutler now as a receiver, bottom of your screen, 2nd and 9. Wildcat, it's Forte, handing off to Hester. Read beautifully by Kenyon Coleman, who's having a terrific start to this game. Coleman, who's battling a groin issue, has been playing with the Jets, Dallas, and Oakland, and now he's with this team. A loss of 5 on the play to the 19.
We talked about penetration can wreck your run game as well as your ability to protect the quarterback. Coleman just slashing right in, getting into the backfield of the Chicago Bears. That play didn't have a chance.
This defense of Cleveland today has been more aggressive than we've seen.
Well, you know, Rob Ryan understands it. He's got to shoot the gaps. You got to get penetration in order to pressure your quarterback or stop the run game. And they have the defenders on that defensive line to do it.
Now Cutler in the gun, 3rd and 14. The blitz from Bowens. The pass thrown away by Cutler. They had 6 in the secondary. There was great coverage, but David Bowens playing inside and outside, both for Rob Ryan today with a nice rush.
He is moving around, and he was unaccounted for in terms of the protection schemes for the Chicago Bears. Did not account for Bowens coming off the corner in the face of Cutler. Cutler told us he was going to do that. Down inside the red zone, if it's not there, I'm throwing it away, and we may have to live with just taking the field goal. Remember, avoiding the turnover down the red zone has to be paramount.
Here's Gold now trying a 37-yard field goal. The snap will come from Manley. The hold will come from Maynard. And this for the first score in the game. 3-zip Chicago, 2:22 in the first. They got a 19-yard run by Cutler and a catch and run of 28 by Forte. That sets up the field goal for the Bears.
Absolutely. You know, Jay Cutler got it going on that last possession, but prior to that, we've had no movement on offense. The Cleveland Browns still struggling to move the ball.
Gold just nailed a 37-yard field goal to give his Bears an early 3-0 lead. Cleveland comes in 1-6. Chicago comes in 3-3. Cribbs, you just saw him deep back there, and here comes Joshua Cribbs, former quarterback at Kent State. And out to the 20, and then hit and brought down on the play by Corey Graham on a 26-yard return.
Well, Derek Anderson has to get this offense going. Already so far in this game, 9 plays, only 17 yards. We said they had to throw the ball and catch the ball. Hasn't been so easy for the Cleveland Browns early in this game. They've gone 3 and out on 3 consecutive possessions. Derek Anderson completing only 1 of 4 pass attempts for 4 yards. And take a look at that. 3 plays and punt on 3 consecutive possessions, and I'm sure Rob Ryan says, hey, can we play a little bit of offense on defense? Can we? Because this defense right now is playing very well.
Very well. From the 23, 1st and 10, the slot receiver is Furr. Tight end Gaines is in motion. Joe Thomas, the left tackle with the block. That's intercepted by Danielle Manning. He'll get up, and here he goes. Roach throwing a block. Knocked out of bounds. As you see, Thomas steamroll Manning, who makes the interception. That is his 6th career interception. First of the season, 35-yard return, and down to the 13-yard line go the Chicago Bears.
It's only a 2-receiver route. Yeah, you have the tight end on the backside, but he's staring down this one the entire time. Great play by Daniel Manning, reading the eyes of the quarterback, understanding route recognition, and then breaking to the point of the intercept. And watch him just lay out for this ball. Very seldom do you see the defensive backs making that kind of catch and then getting up and creating some yards after getting the interception. Great play by Manning.
Garrett Wolf is in the backfield. First down and 10 with a couple of tight ends. There's a block by Beekman, and Coleman was there along with Bowens and Robert Smith, limiting him to a gain of 2 to the 11-yard line. And boy, good field position today for Chicago on virtually every possession.
They've had wonderful field position. They've got to be able to take advantage of it. I'm sure Jay Cutler is saying to himself, guys, we got to take advantage of this offering by our defense. Convert points and opportunities inside the red zone.
The tight end Olsen will be at the bottom of your screen on a 2nd down and 8, and Wolf remains in the backfield. Garza with the block. Desmond Clark lost the ball. Big hit by Eric Barton, who is number 50, and one of the many Jets that Eric Mangini has brought to the Browns to try to get his system in place.
Well, Barton is a guy that knows this system very well. He knows the plays. Played for Rob Ryan, of course, at many different stops. He's a guy that can make some plays, but you know, if you're Rob Ryan, you got to understand it starts with putting pressure on the quarterback Jay Cutler and then dropping guys into coverage, trying to steal the ball. Cutler is going to cut the ball loose. You've got to be in place to make a play on it.
Tight ends, and they're both going to be wide on 3rd down and 8. 6 in the secondary for the Cleveland Browns. Here comes Corey Williams, the ex-Packer. That's a low pass, uncatchable by Wolf. So they get this great position, and they're going to have to settle for 3 again for this offense of the Chicago Bears, which is ranked 21st in the NFL. Sally coming into today.
It was a designed screen play for Wolf, and in my mind, I think Cutler did the right thing. The defenders were squatting on the play. Had he thrown that ball high, good chance that it could have been intercepted. He just threw it right into the ground so that Robbie Gould can come in and kick another field goal.
Well, that graphic we showed moments ago, only 7 first-quarter points this whole season. They're going to get 3 more right here, that would appear, and they do with the field goal of 29 yards. But again, great field position and getting only field goals.
They've got 6 points. They could have had 14 with 2 red zone possessions.
Interception.
Oh, absolutely. How about the defense? And that's what Lovie Smith told us. That we've got to create turnovers on defense. And I think he understands if the defense gets going, and boy, now the offense can get rolling. And then he wants a complete game today from his offense, defense, and special teams.
Here's the kickoff by Gould. Cribbs has returned a kickoff for a touchdown 6 times in his career, including this season, but not here. He's knocked down at about the 25-yard line, and he was hit on the play by Tim Shaw, who is a reserve linebacker on a 23-yard return. There is Derek Anderson, and there's Brady Quinn, the quarterbacks for the Browns.
Well, certainly, I think the way that Anderson has played, you've got to wonder, when do we see Brady Quinn? Remember, if he takes 70% of the snaps, his contract will pay him $11 million this year. That means he has to play in the last 9 games. Well, if he doesn't play today, there's only 8 games left. And so I don't know that we'll see him in this game today. In fact, we asked Eric Mangini, could we see Brady Quinn? He shook his head. Absolutely no.
Couple tight ends on 1st and 10. There's Afalava, the rookie, who makes the stop on Lewis. It's a gain of 5 on the play for Jamal Lewis. And we were a little bit surprised he said that because the quarterbacking has been so horrendous from Anderson so far.
Well, take a look at the October numbers for Derek Anderson. Very spooky indeed. Not good. Only 1 touchdown during the month of October. And look at the 3 games since. And so, yeah, definitely, you know that you can improve at the quarterback position. I believe Brady Quinn could come in and play better, at least than what we've seen.
Harrison and Adams are the 2 defensive tackles on 2nd down and 5. And here is a Lewis run, and around his ankle he had Nick Roach, who had been playing middle linebacker, moved outside. Hunter Hillenmeyer now the middle linebacker. Gain of 4 on the play. And he's up to about the 32 6-yard line. A look at Roach, and this is probably going to conclude our first quarter. There's a lot of pressure from the fans who now are going to plan some kind of sit out after the bye, at least for the kickoff in the Monday night game against Baltimore. There's a lot of unrest in Cleveland.
Absolutely. A lot of people are unhappy with the product they're seeing on the football field, but the Bears are rolling to that.
With 2 field goals at the end of 1. Couple field goals by Gold. Chicago at the start of the second quarter on top 6-0. Browns first down of the game, and that last run by Lewis from the 36-yard line. Tommy Harris is still out of the game, although he started today, the defensive tackle. Jamal Lewis, nice block on the play by Rex Hancock, and the tackle was made by Hunter Hillenmeyer. Gain of 9 at the 44.
Yeah, Cleveland Browns have struggled this season, coming in with a 1-6 record, last in the AFC North Division. And when it comes to their ability to try to create yards on offense, they've struggled. 4 games without a touchdown. And so the fans there, are wondering what kind of product are we going to get from week to week.
Second down, long 1. 2 tights remain. Lewis. There's a good block by St. Clair, the ex-Chicago Bear. Tackle was made on the play after a gain of 3 by Lance Briggs.
Yeah, Eric Mangini has made a lot of moves. They do have 11 picks in the draft next year. We've seen the trades of players like Kellen Winslow and Braylon Edwards. But, the team, they are taking some proactive measures to try to win back the fans. They've put out focus groups and tried to respond to some of the complaints that the fans have had. They've asked the fans, what do you want to see with this football team?
There was a loose ball on the handoff to Jamal Lewis, and that is a fumble. It's another turnover in the season of turnovers for the Cleveland Browns. That's the second today. Interception the first time. And it looks like perhaps Aguilia was on the bottom of that pile.
Oh, this is what you don't want to see. You don't want to see your team come out and turn it over on the second consecutive possession. Jamal Lewis fumbles it. I doubt if he even received it cleanly from Derek Ham. See, there's the ball in his belly, but he's bobbling that ball the entire time. The Chicago Bears come up with a turnover on the second consecutive down.
2 straight turnovers by the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, Cleveland Browns, Thanksgiving comes early. They're way too generous with the football, making it very difficult for Eric Mangini and his group to be competitive in football games.
2 tight ends for the Bears. Trusnick is back in as an outside backer. It is 1st down and 10. Forte's in the backfield. Good block by Pace. Good block by Williams. Nice catch made, 35-yard line with Bowens making the stop. The grab was made by the tight end, Greg Olsen. It's a gain of 12 on the play. Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for the latest scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report from our CBS studios in New York. 34-yard line, 1st and 10.
Kevin, it's the 3rd time the Bears have started at possession inside the Cleveland Browns territory. Haven't been able to come up with a lot of points, though.
2 tight ends still, including Kellen Davis. There's a Forte handoff on 1st and 10. Garza trying to lead the way in the Trusnick tackle along with C.J. Mosley defensively for the Browns on a gain of 4 to the 30-yard line. The AFC West, as you take a look at right there, with Orton leading the way, Denver undefeated.
How about that? And playing today in Baltimore, coming off the bye week. And certainly a surprise, but the way that team is playing defensively, I think, has really helped them to become a more complete football team. And very shocking that San Diego only 3-3 after 6 games.
Knox and Hester will be up there. Nothing to Hester yet. 2nd down and 6, although he has had a 32-yard punt return in this game. Williams, another good block, but here comes Kenyon Coleman. There's the dump off to Forte, who's knocked down by Trusnick, who came in at Braylon Edwards, trade from the Jets. It's a pickup of 3. He's down to the 27 earlier in the game. Forte had a catch and run solly of 28 yards.
A lot of people starting to question the Chicago Bears, gone but not forgotten. Players that were once here in Chicago, a high draft pick like Sid Benson, now leading the league in rushing. And Kyle Orton now in Denver playing very well with a tremendous quarterback rating where he's only thrown 1 interception all season long. But what did Lovie Smith tell us? He said November and December is where we start to really play football. This is the game or the time of year where we start to define who we are.
It's 3rd down and 3. 4 in the secondary. Here's Hester for the first time today. Gets a first down. Works on Eric Wright. Runs out of bounds at about the 21-yard line. And a gain of 6. And watching all the tape of Cutler and how he is immersing himself with this offense, what are you seeing in some of the issues that he's had to face?
Well, first of all, I see more good than bad. I see the wide receivers catching 50% more passes than they did a year ago. They're averaging 12 catches per game. Last year, only 7 catches per game. Most of the catches went to the backs and tight ends, but he pushes the ball down the field. I think at times he is going to push the limits. He's going to try to squeeze the ball into tight windows, and it comes back to bite him.
Forte on 1st and 10. McKee with a great block. Hester gives a block inside the 10. Finally, Adams brings him down. Gain of 12 down to the 9.
In my mind, this is the thing that Jay Cutler needs more than anything. He needs a running game, and the way they're powering this one off the left side, getting Matt Forte to the 2nd level. This is what Jay Cutler needs more than anything, so that you don't have to put it all on the quarterback to make plays. The improvement in the running game, especially on 1st down runs, and Matt Forte, I think will help equalize the balance on offense and take some of the burden off Jay Cutler to have to throw the ball into those tight windows that we talked about.
Clark and Davis are the 2 tight ends. 1st and goal at the 9. Forte, Garza with the block. Beekman with the block. Trusnick with the tackle near the 5. Gain of 3.
Good play by Trusnick. I thought Forte was going to actually make it into the end zone. He was able to submerge and get under the blocker and still came up and make the tackle. Watch Garza right there, but see how they were able to get underneath and beat the blocker and still grab hold of the leg of Matt Forte to get him on the ground. Trusnick came over in that trade from New York with the Jets, and when Braylon Edwards went to New York, and now here comes Trusnick making plays for Rob Ryan.
They've been here before. They've only gotten field goals.
Yeah, let's see if they can get it in.
2nd down and 6. Couple tight ends. Forte having the play by Corey Williams and a gain of 3 as they continue to chisel their way down there. It's down to the 2-yard line, and sometimes it can be just a turnover or a touchdown drive like this to kind of ignite an offense and truly turn the corner.
But what did Lovie Smith tell us when we talked to him on Friday? We have to play better in the red zone. We have to protect the ball. We got to run better on 1st down. Now, they've run the ball on this possession. They've gotten into the red zone in the 1st and now in the 2nd quarter. Let's see if they can get it in. It's a shame they have to throw it in order to score touchdowns in the red zone.
3rd and goal to 3. 2 tight ends. You see the allotment of receivers. The nickel secondary for the Browns. Here comes Cam Wembley. He's got the quarterback Cutler. And again, Cleveland's defense holds him out of the end zone and relegates Cutler and the ineffective Chicago offense to a 3-point try, and Rob Ryan takes a personal victory there.
Take a look at the protection scheme. They don't even account for Cameron Wembley. They don't even block him, so completely confusing the offensive lineman as you see Greg Olsen release. And now, guess what? Cutler has to recognize where the hot receiver is also. I think he's got to be aware of where the free blitzer is coming from.
Loss of 11 on the sack by Wembley. Here's the field goal try of 32 yards. That's good by Gold. So 2 turnovers by Cleveland produces 6 points for Chicago. Wembley comes up with his 5th sack of the season. 8:43 in the 2nd.
On CBS is sponsored by Sprint, official wireless service sponsor of the NFL. KFC. Get in the game with the Madden NFL box for your chance to win $10 off Madden NFL 10. And by the Ford F-150, built Ford tough.
That last possession, the Chicago Bears, Solly had it 1st and goal at the 9. They can only get 3 out of that possession. Here's the ensuing kickoff by Gold. Cribbs has been ineffective so far as a return man from the 1. Let's see what he does here. Followed up. Daniel Manning was the first to hit him. Rasheed Davis was down there too. 24-yard return out to the 26-yard line. Here comes Anderson once again. 8.5 to play in the 1st half from Chicago. Lovie Smith is calling the defense this season for the Bears.
Oh, he's taken over this football team and over the defense, and really has, I think, been very accountable, providing leadership for change on this defense after giving up 45 points last week.
Tommy Harris is back on that defensive line. 1st and 10. Here comes Lewis. He's chased by Roach, and then Roach jumps on his back at about the 28-yard line on a gain of 2.
You know, it really does start for Chicago in terms of their ability to stop the run. Last week against Cincinnati gave up over 200 yards rushing simply because of their lack of gap integrity. Look at 3 guys stacked into 1 gap, leaving the back door wide open for Said Benson to really rack up over 180 yards rushing on the day. Hunter Hillenmeyer subsequently was moved into the middle linebacker position where Lovie Smith said he's the guy that can communicate, get us lined up so that we're in every single gap and play better defense.
Roach has just been taken out. Thatcher's been put in. Here's a handoff. And the tackle was made by Lance Briggs on a gain of 5. The ball at the 32-yard line. And the ball carrier on the play was Harrison.
Well, this is a football team. What did Lance Briggs tell us? We have to earn our respect back 1 game at a time. This is a football team that came off last week reeling after a disappointing performance. And they said, hey, we've got to go out and we've got to earn it back 1 game at a time. People are going to see that film going around the National Football League, think they could come in here and run the ball on the Bears defense.
Womack on this series playing the right guard for the Browns. 3rd down and 3. They need the 36. Blocked by Thomas. Hit by Harris. Anderson gets away, then throws it away. Tommy Harris playing with that bad left knee, forcing a 3-and-out for Cleveland.
But he does have 2 good arms, and what that means is you've got to wrap up the quarterback. See, he blocks him, tries to push him, thinking he's going to go to the ground, but Derek Anderson's a big boy. And you got to wrap him up and tackle him to the ground in order to get the sack. I don't know what that was from Tommy Harris. He knows better. You've got to wrap up the quarterback. Would have been a huge play for the Bears defense.
They call it a forward pass. Here are the 5 possessions today for the Cleveland Browns. 3 3-and punts, an interception, and a fumble.
A lot of Dave Zastudil and a lot of turnovers.
You could argue that he's the MVP of the first part of the season for the Cleveland Browns. Basically won that game in Buffalo a couple weeks ago. Here he punched to Hester. And a kick sideways on time of 3.78. Not much right there. And the ball loosed at a touch. The Chicago Bear in Cleveland is saying they've got the ball. Now the officials are pointing in the direction of Chicago. With 6:56 to play here in the second quarter as we had a scrum across the way and a 38-yard punt by Zastudil.
Dave Zastudil has been very good. I don't think it touched anyone wearing a Chicago Bear uniform. You know, coming into this game, Dave Zastudil, 14 of his last 18 punts have been downed inside the 20-yard line. So certainly he's more of an MVP on a team that's 1-6 where he's making most of the plays. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Number 41, Cleveland, was out of bounds when he touched the ball. Therefore, the ball is dead right there. 1st and 10, Chicago. Timeout.
Ray Ventrone was the Cleveland Brown player. Look at Eric Mangini. His team has turned it over a couple times. They trail 9-zip. Wednesday on Showtime, join James Brown, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth, and Warren Sapp on the Emmy Award-winning Inside the NFL, cable's longest-running show. Inside the NFL, Wednesday on Showtime. On the 29 after the punt, 3-and-out by Cleveland. 1st and 10 for the Chicago Bears at the 29. Forte is in the backfield. Couple tight ends. Cutler with play action. Here comes Rodgers. That ball batted down and incomplete. Lovie Smith told us the other day that red zone offense is important for this Chicago team.
Absolutely, and the red zone has been the dark zone, or I should say black hole, for the Chicago Bears, where they've been down there and have been turned back. A lot of opportunities where they've not caught the ball, they've not been able to block, they've not been able to keep Jay Cutler clean. You can see the 3 red zone possessions, 3 field goals to show. They've had 27 offensive plays in this game. 20 of them have been in Cleveland Brown territory, but still not a lot of points to show for that good field position.
2nd down and 10. Outside to Hester. He'll dance over there with Eric Wright and try to find himself freedom. He can't. 31-yard line. Knocked out after a gain of 2. And Lovie Smith also told us, as he stepped back and tried to gain perspective on this season, with 5 of the next 7 here at home, this, he said, will be the defining time in our season.
That's right. He says, hey, we're supposed to play our best ball in November and December. He said when the weather starts to change and it gets cold, that's what they feed off of. And we talked about really the identity of this football team is the defense. So when their run defense is playing well, the rest of the team tends to play well.
Furry, one of 5 defensive backs for the Cleveland Browns 3rd down and 8 now. There's a block by Olsen, and Cutler going long on the near side. His receiver cut at the 50. The ball landed at the 40. They were going for Knox. A flag is down at the 19, and Cutler looked like he was whacked.
Roughing the passer, number 95, defense, helmet-to-helmet contact, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
On a 3rd and 8, they call it on Wembley, who had a sack the last time of Cutler.
Got to be able to hold up. This ball had been cut loose. See the helmet to the chin. Helmet to the chin of Jay Cutler, who's come up a little bit woozy, trying to clear the cobwebs at this point.
That'll be finable, too.
Wow. Yeah, you're going to get hit in the wallet for that one, and you give him a new set of downs also. This is where Jay Cutler maybe not given enough credit. He is a tough quarterback. I've seen him take licks, stay in games, and still move the chains.
By the way, Cleveland is the second least penalized team in the NFL coming in. That was a positive that Eric Mangini talked about with us last night.
Absolutely. Mangini, that was the one thing he talked about where he felt that his team had been improving. Of course, not a lot of areas where you feel his team is playing well, but that's one of the things. He talked about the discipline of his team, but they lack discipline on that play by Cameron Wembley.
Cutler had a little blood, it looked like, the last time we saw him head on. Tough kid. You and I have covered him for years, especially last season in the 4,500-yard passing season from
you can see
the Denver Broncos. Look at he
telling him, get the play in. He said, get us the play in so we don't lose time and have to take a penalty.
He is a piece of work. 46-yard line. It is 1st and 10. Forte, great penetration on the side. It came from Abram Elam, one of those ex-Jets. There are 10 on the Cleveland Browns. A gain of a yard to the 46-yard line.
We're talking about Jay Cutler. Watch when he stick the tongue out. Did he bite it a little bit?
He sure did.
Yeah, whack to the chin, caused him to bite a tongue. Clearly not wearing a mouthpiece.
Yep. Browns will have 4 in the defensive secondary. 2nd down, long 9. The tight ends, wide left and wide right. Clark to the bottom of your screen. Olsen to the top, 2nd and 9. Good block by Pace. That's caught by Hester, and a good catch, too. We got it in front of Elam. The gain to the 33-yard line.
Well, you got
21-yard pickup.
Give Jay Cutler a lot of credit. Watch the pressure coming down the middle. And he still stares down the barrel to deliver a strike to Devin Hester because the defensive tackles and linemen were coming right at him. Shaun Rogers bearing down, and then there's the throw. You say, well, why was it thrown a little bit behind him? When Shaun Rogers is coming right up the gut, right into your face, you might want to put it on the back shoulder of the wide receiver.
Hester had his first 100-yard receiving game last week against Cincinnati. Here's a 1st and 10 from the 33. 5 in the secondary. The blitz comes from the corner. They go outside. That's caught by Hester. He's got Pace out there in front with Olsen. He's brought down by Wembley. And the gain is 7 yards down to the 26-yard line.
Shaun Rogers just living in the backfield of the Chicago Bears. And Cutler's able to just barely get the ball off before he's getting hit. You see that jersey? He's got a lot of dirt on that jersey.
Very aggressive stance today by Rob Ryan.
They're coming after him. They're getting hits on him. See that right there? This is a 350-pound guy knocking you to the ground.
One of the best right there. Pro Bowls over the last couple years for Rodgers. 3 in his career. 2nd down and 3. He's out right now. Rubin taking his place at that nose tackle. Forte with a nice block on Wembley, who was coming in. Here's Olsen. There was a block by Kellen Davis. And looked like Wright and Barton got a hand on him. Barton is now down. The gain, a catch and run of 12. Another 1st down. Markham at the 14-yard line of the Cleveland Browns.
Greg Olsen's limping, but I think 2 Cleveland Browns hit each other. Wow. You got to hit the other guy, not your guy. And that's why Barton came up just a little bit woozy. They did get a nick on the leg of Greg Olsen, who's also limping.
And, you know, he's had kind of a quiet season. 23rd, Solomon, coming into today among tight ends in receiving and yardage for tight ends.
But the receptions for the wide receivers are up for the Chicago Bears. Devin Hester came in leading the team with 28. Earl Bennett with 23 receptions. Forte over 20, and so is Johnny Knox. I think you got 4 guys with 20 or more receptions, and then Olsen came in with 19. So maybe while the other guys' production have gone up, his has come down a little. We expected him to put up numbers, but I think in the ebb and flow of the offense as the season progresses, you'll see him get his numbers as well. Snell catching the ball over the middle of the field.
Plus, the defenses have been keying in on Olsen as you take a look at Barton leaving. Get a complete NFL wrap-up, including recaps and analysis from every CBS game booth online tonight at CBSSports.com. Well, we've seen the Bears in this red zone 3 times today. They've only got 9 points. Cleveland's defense has held them out of the end zone.
Yeah, and we talk about the Chicago Bears struggling inside the red zone, where that has been chronicled. Give a lot of credit to the Cleveland Browns defense. If you take a look at a woozy Eric Barton, but the Browns have been very good on defense down inside the red zone today.
Here's a timeout taken by Cutler. We've got 3.5 to play here in the first half, and the quarterback from Vanderbilt, who was the Southeastern Conference Player of the Year when Mike Shanahan was at Denver and they were going to draft him. He didn't tell anybody, not even his closest confidants in Denver, that this is the guy that they had circled. But he did talk to one other person. That was Jeff Fisher, the coach of the Tennessee Titans in Nashville, had seen this kid up close. And when Fisher said, I can vouch for this kid, that's when Shanahan pulled the trigger and drafted him so high.
To become the SEC Player of the Year at Vanderbilt, I mean, that's doing something. Because you're talking about a lot of talented athletes at Florida, at LSU, at Alabama, at Georgia. And then you're the guy that walks away with the biggest piece of hardware as the best player. That's really putting it together.
It's 1st and 10. Look at the pulling pace and McKee, and it's a pitch out going to the running back Forte. Adams brings him down, limits him to a gain of a yard. So you've been watching this Cleveland defense today. I mean, can you find a point where their defense has really snuffed them in the red zone?
Why absolutely.
It?
Absolutely. Because you know what? Rob Ryan understands he has a big man in the middle of the defense and no one can block him, and that is Shaun Rogers. He really is teeing off on the Chicago Bears offensive line. They have to dedicate at least 2 guys to block him. And what that does, Kevin, it frees up the other guys on the edges to make plays. Cameron Wimbley has been a huge recipient of the damage done in the middle by Shaun Rogers.
Tight ends are wide, 2nd and 9. Cutler, here comes the rush again, this time from Bowens, being chased by Kenyon Coleman. Hester tries to catch it and does. Right in front of Tresnick and right at about the 7. Gain of 6 on the play.
Yeah, Rogers isn't in right now, but watch Bowens comes up the middle. Scott-free, 96. Pressures Cutler out of the pocket. Anytime you can force quarterbacks to move laterally, their accuracy goes down, and now their patience to allow the progression to materialize, it also goes down. He has to dump it off to Hester. Can't even find anyone in the end zone.
Hester's 3rd catch on this drive.
Yeah, he's making plays, but they're not getting the ball where they want it, which is in the end zone.
2.5 to play. Play clock was down to 8, and a timeout has been taken by Cleveland. Bowens has been playing well today. Mangini has got his defense playing well, and Rob Ryan, and they talked about how they've taken more fundamental tackling drills in practice than he can recall.
Well, last week, if you watch the tape of that game against the Green Bay Packers and watch Donald Driver run up and down the field, yeah, you have to go back to tackling. That's what they did Wednesday and Thursday practice, live tackling drills, and some of the drills these players hadn't done since they were in high school. They was complaining and said, hey, we got to do that high school tackling drill, and Eric Mangini says, yeah, I didn't know you tackle as if you played in high school. So until you improve on that, we're going to continue to do the drill. We've seen them tackle much better today.
Rogers back in on that defensive line, 3rd and 3. Cutler on the drive, 5 of 6. You see the assortment of receivers. Forte held by Iava, grabbed by Poole, and corkscrews his way down to the 1. He gained over 1,200 yards last year. Quiet the last couple weeks. A pickup of 6 right there.
And what did Lovie Smith tell Matt Forte? Hey, you don't have to be Walter Payton on every single play. Sometimes for running backs, and particularly the young ones, just take what the defense gives you. If it's a 3rd and 1 play, all we need is 2 yards gained on the play. Get the first down. Don't look to hit the home run on every single carry.
Chicago with their 4th trip today into the red zone. They come in 3 and 3 on a disappointing last couple weeks. They lead Cleveland 9-0. 5 defensive linemen for the Cleveland Browns. They've got 1, make it 2 defensive backs. Schaefer has come in as a tackle eligible on the offensive line. 1st and goal at the 1. Forte. He dives. Touchdown. 1-yard touchdown run, and the first of the game for the Chicago Bears and the second rushing touchdown for Matt Forte this season.
I thought Matt Forte showed tremendous patience because the Cleveland Brown defenders thought he was going to try to go up and over. Watch, he doesn't launch. He stays on the ground, slides to his left, and then he has the power to push the pile into the end zone. He did show the kind of patience that I think earlier in the year he had lacked. And that's exactly what Lovie Smith had been coaching in terms of the point of emphasis for improvement for Matt Forte.
Here's the extra point by Gold. So, a 1-yard touchdown run by Matt Forte. And a 16-0 lead for Chicago. This is the 50th year of the NFL on CBS.
Walter Payton looking on, but it'll be a long time before they forget what he did.
I think he's the greatest that ever played the game.
Dan Summerall and John Madden with the call. Peyton's last NFL game. They are going to salute the memory of Peyton and his great years of service here in Chicago at halftime. And a lot of number 34 jerseys all over Soldier Field today. He touched the hearts of so many people. He was so involved in the community. And his legacy lives on.
Can't help but think about Walter Payton and think about the toughness in which he played the game. And I think anyone who wears a Chicago Bear jersey, you have to really epitomize and embody what he meant to football. As you take a look at some of his family members who are here today to honor the memory of Walter Payton.
I saw Matt Suhey back there in back of Walter's wife. His mother has been flown up from Mississippi. You just saw here. And you saw the two kids in the background. The kickoff goes to Cribbs. They'll take it out from 3 yards deep. Oh, what a nice tackle and a fumble on the play. Looks like Chicago may have gotten it. No, Cleveland's got the ball. The hit by Greg Stelz out of LSU. Big-time player. First-team All-America. Who's with Chicago in his second NFL season. Walter Payton and I had the chance to broadcast a year of preseason games on WBBM TV, CBS 2 here in Chicago. He got sick that summer. I can recall after games wanting to go out and get some dinner, and he said, you know, my stomach has not been right. Of course, he was diagnosed with the illness shortly thereafter and died the next year. Walter Payton, terrific individual. First down and 10. Anderson gets a Joe Thomas block, his left tackle. He hits the wide receiver Furry, who was hit by Daniel Manning. And Manning already has the interception today. That's a gain of 9. And the ball spotted at the 24-yard line. Second down and 1. Harrison is in the backfield with Anderson. Incomplete, looking for Hayden. Coverage on the play by Adonijah on that defensive line. He went back there and was covering. Coming up on the Sprint halftime report, we have a player down too. We'll talk about that in a second. The halftime report brought to you by Sprint. We'll go to New York for scores and highlights coming up next here on CBS. A Bears player is down. And I had the card in my hand, and I wasn't looking up, and I don't think I can give you a number, folks, and I'm not even going to try to.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, we're hoping that he can be okay. Adewale Ogunleye is a player that obviously part of this front seven for the Chicago Bears. Very deep in their rotation at defensive end. Remember, they made a trade for Gaines Adams, who's come over, and they're expecting big things from him as well. So they've got a real good rotation of defensive ends who can pressure the quarterback. Take a look here on the left side. There you go. See what happens here. Look like a hand to the face right there. Yeah, I think he was poked in the eye.
And he was going against the former Chicago Bear, John St. Clair. And that is Ogunleye, who is being attended to on the field. We've had a game where the Chicago Bears have had multiple red zone appearances today against the Cleveland defense, and 3 of the 4 times Cleveland held them out of the end zone, relegating the Chicago Bears to field goals, with the 4th time produced a 1-yard touchdown dive by Matt Forte. And there is Ogunleye, who, by the way, is in a contract year after spending 4 years with Miami, a Pro Bowler in 03. This is his 6th season with the Chicago Bears.
Very good player. There's no doubt. I mean, they've got some really good pass rushers that come off the edge. I think they're more effective when Tommy Harris and the interior defensive lineman for the Bears are effective at pushing the pocket. And then you get the one-on-one edge rushers, and boy, they just feed on each other when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback.
Mark Anderson has taken his place. He's with Brown and Harris on that defensive line. And here's a 3rd and 1 Wildcat direct snap to Cribbs, who's brought down by Briggs, the multiple Pro Bowler, out to the 30-yard line, picks up 6. First down.
Yeah, you have to use, I think, the Wildcat if you're Cleveland to supplement your ability to run the football. Already given the ball to Jamal Lewis. He put the ball on the ground. They don't run it good out of their core base offense.
1st and 10, the snap to Anderson, going deep and looking for Massaquoi. Covered on the play by Tillman. It was interesting, after you and I did the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game, they ran the Wildcat with such great success in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. Then last week against Green Bay, just one Wildcat play for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and they really elected to go away from it. I'm sure coming away from that game thinking maybe we should have did it more. Mangini told us that they even want to use him at running back. They know he is their best offensive weapon, but with him running the Wildcat and playing wide receiver and playing the special teams role, said that there's a lot on his plate, so don't want to overload Joshua Cribbs at this point.
Roach is out. Vasher is in as a 5th defensive back. Second, and here comes Hillenmeyer. Down goes Anderson. He was hit on the play by Alex Brown, among others, his 3rd sack of the year. And he's got Anderson back for a loss of 10 to the 20.
Here he is coming off the corner against Joe Thomas. Tried to keep him from getting to the quarterback, but you can see Hillenmeyer's back there as well, so they just really crash in. Hillenmeyer blitzing from that middle linebacker position. He's done a good job of just getting everyone lined up today, where now they can play fast, they can play aggressive, not a lot of thinking, not a lot of checks at the line of scrimmage. Alex Brown coming off the corner for the sack.
And working on Joe Thomas, who's a Pro Bowler in his own right as a left tackle for the Browns.
You know, but when you have a middle linebacker who can steady and right the ship like Hunter Hillenmeyer has done, I think it allows your defense to be more aggressive, because he's good seeing, communicating, getting everyone lined up. Watch, once he reads the defense, still communicating, telling guys where to go. He is now the quarterback of this Bears defense.
There's the Wildcat snap on 3rd and 21. Lawrence Vickers with a block and an eventual tackle made by O'Donoghue and Tillman after a gain of 10. He's out to the 29.
Just a really good play. Yeah, they had some yards gained on that play, but not nearly enough for the first down. See how they're rolling and pulling everyone, the guard and the onside tackle, Joe Thomas, but they're able to get him on the ground. Good play.
Charles Tillman didn't give up on the play, took the initial block, and then he went back and made the stop. Well, we've seen good defense by Cleveland. They've been pressured the entire game. We've seen turnovers, an interception, and a fumble by Anderson in the first half. And they're getting shut out again at halftime.
Yeah, and this is an offense that has struggled to put points on the board during the 2009 season. Not nearly enough consistency or firepower on offense.
The Chicago Bears have scored 4 consecutive times. The touchdown, a 1-yard touchdown run by Forte. Sprint halftime from New York. After this, you're watching the NFL on CBS. Tough day so far for the Cleveland offense.
Everyone's defense seemed to get better when you play the Cleveland Brown offense. This is an offense that has gone nowhere in the first half of this football game. In fact, it's been downright bad for the Cleveland Browns. 4 3-and-outs, 2 turnovers, 0 points to show. So they continue to turn it over, oftentimes moving backwards. They have yet to cross the 50-yard line and run one single play on the Chicago Bears side of the field. The Bears defense have been hitting home runs, only 2 passing yards for the Cleveland Browns on offense. And as we said, 0 plays run in the opponent's territory. Right now, only 61 total yards of offense for Cleveland Brown. They are struggling. Something has to be done. They've got to make some changes. Not even the Wildcat has been able to jumpstart this Browns offense.
Daniel Manning is back for the kickoff from Phil Dawson. He's back today after missing a bunch of this early season with a calf injury, and Manning will take it from the 7-yard line. Hester's been busy today, and the tackle was made by Ventrone. 16-yard return. At halftime, Walter Payton was honored here with his daughter, his wife, his mother there on the left, Jarrett there on the right. And the video tribute, Bears did a terrific job in saluting on this, the 10th anniversary of Walter Payton's death. From the 24-yard line, it is 1st and 10. Forte with a touchdown run is back there with Olsen. Blocked by Kreutz, tackled by Trusnick and by McDonald. Back to the 23-yard line and a gain of a yard on the play. As you take a look at the first half for the Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears started off a little bit slow, going 3 and out on their first 2 possessions, but then got it going. The turnovers kind of got the offense going. Yeah, they did struggle inside of the red zone where they had to settle for 3 field goals, but on that final red zone possession, look at that drive. 10 plays, 71 yards, and was able to pay it off with a Matt Forte run for a touchdown.
You see the assortment of receivers, including tight ends. 2nd down and 10. Furry is back as the 5th defensive back for the Browns. Here comes the rush. Adams slowed him down. And then there was a hit by Costanzo. Usually on special teams, he comes through. And Corey Williams, an avalanche of defenders sent by Rob Ryan, a loss of 6, 3rd sack of the day.
Rob Ryan's going to dial it up, and you can see there's Adams coming off the corner. Do they account for him? No. And Cutler's got to understand it is necessarily a 3-step drop, even though he's in the shotgun. But once you see him, he does protect the football. I like the fact that he's not just throwing the ball up for grabs, trying to get rid of it and putting the ball in harm's way, but got to be able to pick up the blitzes and understand where the hot read is.
3rd down and 6. They've got Bowens back off your screen. You can't even see him. He's playing so deep on the 3rd and 16, and the little run produces just a handful right there and a gain of 6 on the play. So Hester finds very little room. Oh, that was Forte, excuse me, who carried that ball. Hester was up there blocking, and Cutler with a 3 and out for his offense on their first second half possession.
Oh, the Cleveland Browns defense dialed up some pressure, on Jay Cutler, and they were able to get into the backfield, put pressure on the quarterback, and forcing him to not be able to complete passes. How about the Browns coming out playing some defense?
Here's the punt, and it's sent toward Cribbs. A flag has been thrown. Cribbs is the #1 punt returner in the National Football League, and I guess they're going to go back with Anderson with 13:01 to play here in the 3rd. The flag has been thrown at the 28-yard line at the other end of the floor of the field.
Ineligible player downfield, number 25 on a kicking team. 5 yards from the previous spot. Replay 4th down.
Well, 25 is Garrett Wolf, who's a reserve running back who's seen some time today already.
Well, we're seeing some real good special teams player in this game. How about Joshua Cribbs receiving the punt for Cleveland? Devin Hester, we've already seen him on kickoff return. Daniel Manning is a guy that we know can break off the big ones, returning kicks as well. So both special teams really do play at a very high level, ranking near the top in the National Football League.
Hester can return kicks and punts. Johnny Knox was returning kickoffs last week in Cincinnati, but as we saw at the beginning of this drive, they had Daniel Manning who returned kicks last year. Maynard again. That's a bad punt off the side of his foot, and Cleveland is going to be given great beginning position here. Let's see where this puts the Cleveland Brown offense at the 30-yard line of Chicago. A 12-yard Brad Maynard punt. He's averaging 42 yards a boot. So the penalty, horrible against Chicago. Cleveland cashes in, and they get great beginning field position.
Yes, their first possession in Chicago Bear territory here in the game today.
This telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
12-yard punt, a penalty on the punt before. Makes up 35 yards in hidden yardage. 30-yard line, 1st and 10. First, second half possession for the Cleveland Browns. 2 tight ends. Jamal Lewis, gigantic hole as he charges his way free for a first down to the 17-yard line. He picks up 13 on the play. Big run by Jamal Lewis. Hit on the play by Harris.
Well, we told you that. Gap integrity in the run defense for the Chicago Bears. had been a problem last week. We could see them getting out of position. Didn't have the gap filled that time, allowing Jamal Lewis to get to the second level.
1st and 10. Lewis again. Steinbach with the block, and he grinds out some more. Down to the 11. Picks up 6. Hadnot begins this particular drive at the right guard for the Browns.
Yeah, they're going right off the right side behind Hadnot and John St. Clair, the former Chicago Bear, getting some yards. Positive gains in the running game for the Cleveland Browns. If they can start running the football, boy, this offense can finally start putting some points on the board.
Cribbs, bottom of your screen, wide. 2nd down and 4. Starting defensive line is out there for the Chicago Bears. Great block by Steinbach, and here once again charging to the 1, Jamal Lewis. Hit on the play by Roach. 10-yard gain, 1st and goal for Cleveland.
And right now they're just going right up the gut. Watch, it comes right here. Right up the gut. See that hole there? It opens up magnificently on the back end of the Chicago Bears defense. Able to get a hat on the hat. And it's not until Lance Briggs comes over to wrap up the legs of Jamal Lewis are they able to get him on the ground.
Fraley is in. Steinbach is going to a tackle on the right side. Tight ends all over the place. 1st and goal. This is Jamal Lewis with a sledgehammer. No sign yet. Has he gotten in? And no. Shy in the defense of Chicago. And
let's see if they get in. Let's take a look at it. See if he was able to break the plane. There's the ball right there. I don't think it did.
Tommy Harris is the one who hit him.
Great camera work.
Steinbach is playing the right tackle eligible. 2nd and goal at the 1. The quarterback 6'6". Anderson goes in. Touchdown. He gets in there. Anderson with the touchdown run, his 2nd of the season. And a 1-yard plunge. And they take advantage of a 12-yard punt by Maynard after a penalty which wiped out a play that would have started Cleveland in their own territory.
He's 6'6". Let's see if he can get that ball. There it is. Soon as he stuck the ball out, he broke the plane for the touchdown. Your 6'6" quarterback, and the reach of Derek Anderson is able to get that ball across the goal line for a touchdown. Didn't come easy, but boy, did the Browns respond with that first possession here in the 2nd half.
Dawson will try the extra point. It's blocked. Did Adonijay get it? I think Adonijay got that ball and knocked it away. And no surprise there, because Adonijay has 4 blocked field goals in his career. Watch for number 71. He comes up. He got it. He's at his 5th career block right there. 16-6. After a touchdown run of a yard by Derek Anderson, Lewis was the one who was starring on that last drive. Extra point block. Chris Cutler and Solomon East 10 of 17 today.
He's got to really get it going on this drive after going 3 and out.
Greg Olsen brought down by Abram Elam. 42-yard line, 16-yard pickup, and a 1st down.
Good protection. You can see a little play action that holds the linebackers, allowing Greg Olsen to get open on the back end and just really taking what the defense gives them. Anticipating that the Cleveland Browns are going to come after Jake Cutler. I think they got to go to more 3-step drop. He's got to anticipating getting the ball out of his hands a little bit sooner.
Rubin is in for Rodgers on the defensive line. 1st and 10. Here comes Trusnick, and down he goes. Everything that the defensive coordinator Rob Ryan is dialing up today in terms of pressure. I mean, he has sent pressure from every angle. That's the 4th sack on Cutler. Loses 6 right there.
And here it is coming off the corner. See, coming late. The delayed blitz. Once the tackle turns in, Orlando Pace turns in on Bowens, and Trusnick can come free, very clean off the corner to get the sack. They're not picking up. The protections are just not really holding for Jay Cutler, and they're not able to pick up all the blitzing defenders for Cleveland.
Trusnick with his 2nd sack in his career. His 2nd and 16, loss of 6 on that play, back to the 36. 5 defensive backs out there for the Browns. Timeout taken by the frustrated Cutler. 9:15 in the 3rd. Browns just scored. Now the defense trying to get in once again.
On CBS is sponsored by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And by T. Rowe Price, understanding the connections of today's complex global economy. Invest with confidence.
Second and 16 after the timeout. Cutler has been sacked 4 times today. That's and 22 dropbacks to throw.
Yeah, harried 8 times, have been knocked down another 7, so they're getting after him. Rob Ryan putting complete pressure on Jay Cutler. And I think it's their inability to run the ball effectively on first down that's really putting him in harm's way.
Blitz again, picked up by Forte. Second and 16. That is caught. Johnny Knox, the rookie from Abilene Christian, to the 49. And a 13-yard pickup. And they had Adams along with Bowens right there, but Adams made the hit.
Well, they did blitz him, but the protection held up. If you protect and give him time to throw, he's going to find the receivers open down the field. The strike to Johnny Knox over the middle of the field creates a new set of downs, but you know Rob Ryan's going to continue to come after the quarterback.
3rd down and 3. Williams, C.J. Mosley on the defensive line, an assortment of defensive backs numbering 6, 3rd and 3. Forte with the block. Here comes Wembley, and he has to throw it away because the pressure came from the outside. And so Chicago has got a punt. Rob Ryan has called a masterful defensive game today. Last punt recall went just 12 yards.
Yeah, see the pressure coming right here. And you can see Wembley dipping that shoulder. But you can see Bowens, Wembley coming off the corner, forcing the throw, and they're forced to punt again.
Butler had hit his last 7. Now another punt coming up from Maynard. Deep back is Cribbs. We know how good he is. We've mentioned this before. Number 1 punt returner in the NFL coming into this week in the NFL's 8th weekend. And here is the punt by Maynard. Letting it bounce. Saved. Saved by Corey Graham. Grabbed by Davis, but it was Graham, a 3rd-year player out of New Hampshire, and a 5th-round pick. Keeps a 50-yard punt alive. And marooned will be Cleveland at about the 1 or 2.
Let's get down to the nuts and bolts.
A couple of 1-yard touchdown runs. The quarterback at Cleveland, Anderson, had one last time. Great punt by Maynard. Marooned it is 1. Anderson 1st down and 10. Harrison in the backfield. St. Clair with a nice block. And squirming free to the 11-yard line after the stop made by Danielle Manning and close to a 1st down and a gain of 10 is Harrison, who was almost inactive today by the coach Eric Mangini.
And right now the Cleveland Browns are starting to blow holes in the middle of that Chicago Bear defense. Look at that, just moving Tommy Harris out of the way. He's getting blown off the line of scrimmage. They're starting to get linemen to the second phase onto the linebackers, allowing Harrison to pick up the 1st down.
Anthony Adams playing next to Smith on that defensive line for Chicago. 1st and 10. Look at the elusive Harrison again. Weave his way. He's brought down on the play by Zach Bowman out to the 14-yard line and picking up 3. I wonder if that last drive gave them a little bit of confidence the way that Jamal Lewis was running the ball.
Absolutely, and they're starting to get linemen to the second level. Anytime you can get to the linebackers like Lance Briggs and get linemen on him, and now it's up to the safeties to have to make tackles. If you're Brian Daboll, you just continue to dial up these run plays. Blowing them off that line of scrimmage on that 1st down play when they had the ball on the 1-yard line was a huge play.
That was a 7th consecutive run. 2nd down and 7. There was a good block by Harrison. Another drop for the Cleveland Browns. They haven't had many today. That was dropped by Vickers, and the coverage on the play by Hillenmeyer.
Nothing can derail the chemistry and continuity and flow you have on offense more than this. If you're Derek Anderson, you're saying, okay, we're just now getting it going, and we have them on their heels, and you go ahead and drop that ball. Well, that gives the defense a new sense of confidence, and the offense right now got to feel really good if you're the Cleveland Browns. Continue to run the football, but now in 3rd and long, you got to put it in the air.
Briggs with some good coverage on that last play. 3rd down and 7. So they bring in Furry, they bring in Chancey Stuckey. Play clock is winding down to 2, down to 1. 3rd and 7. Timeout taken by the Cleveland Browns. The personnel coming out on the field slow to assemble. 7:03 here in the 3rd. That expression of Mangini says it all. Let's go to James Brown.
Hey, Kevin, after Ted Ginn returned to kick off 100 yards for a Miami lead, take a look here. Jets running back Sean Green has the ball stripped, picked up by Jason Taylor, the tall fella. Takes it 48 yards to pay dirt. His 9th career touchdown. Miami on top, 17-6 late in the third. Kevin Harlan, Solomon Wilcots.
Well, remember the first time they met this year, there were 6 lead changes in that Jets-Miami game.
Oh, that was one heck of a game played on Monday night. The Wildcat was rolling for Miami. And how about Braylon Edwards, the game he had that night, his first game with the New York Jets.
Donajay is coming on that defensive line, all 6'6" of them. He blocked an extra point earlier in the game. Alex Brown is digging in. He's got a sack today, 3rd down and 7. Pasher is in as the 5th defensive back. Where they look like they're going to creep in, and here they come. Vickers picks him up, saying, oh, there's a big-time hit. Great pressure. Hillenmeyer came through. It is an incomplete pass, even though Bowman picks it up, vacuumed it in. Anderson a little bit slow to get up.
Adewale Ogunleye as well as Hillenmeyer coming up the middle. Look at the pressure. 2 guys converging in on the quarterback, not allowing Derek Anderson to get comfortable throwing the football. Now they have to shore up the run defense, but really good play. Good stop for the Chicago Bears.
Hillenmeyer playing middle linebacker today, played outside last week, initially took the place of Urlacher, who had the wrist injury, of course, in that Green Bay season opening game. Then Hillenmeyer cracked some ribs, and so he was out, played outside, back in the middle today. Zestadil the punt. Evan Hester from the 38, 4.28 on the hang. He breaks a Cribbs tackle. There's a flag. There's another, and he's knocked out of bounds across the way by Abram Elam near the 45. And Cribbs is down. Cribbs is down at the 34. They cannot afford to lose him. 7-yard return, 48-yard punt. Oh, look at Josh Cribbs. They use him a lot.
Well, how about him? Yeah, they use him a lot to move the ball, to try to score points. And how about covering punts? He's running
During
down.
the return, illegal block in the back, number 21 receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, number 21 is Corey Graham. He's the guy who saved the ball last time from going into the end zone.
You could see Joshua Cribbs hit the ground, and he hit the ground very hard.
They're looking at Cribbs and working on that left shoulder, and tomorrow it was a bachelor party they'd never forget. If only they could remember. New CSI Miami as I'm in the middle of this promo tomorrow only on CBS. We take a look at all the great scenes from that terrific show tomorrow at 10, 9 Central, right here on CBS. First down and 10 from the 30. Forte slowed down by Bowens. Carves 3 into the heart of that defense. Rodgers is the bottom of that pile, too. And you can see him at the 32-yard line. Forte trying to get more rhythm to his runnings. If the Bears could run the ball, of course, is the feeling here in Chicago, the passing of Cutler would improve.
And that's what they have to do. It has to be really effective in terms of their ability to run the ball on first down. And I took a look at it. They come in averaging 3.5 yards per carry. They averaged 3.9 1 year ago, and everyone talking about Matt Forte. So they're not really off by much in terms of how well they ran the ball 1 year ago.
Second down and 7. Forte again. Block from McKee. There's Rodgers again all over the play, limiting him to a gain of about 2 to the 35-yard line. We talked to Big Sean Rodgers, a 3-time Pro Bowler, and so effusive in his praise for his defensive coordinator, Rob Ryan, as was DeQuell Jackson when we saw him in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago.
They love playing for Rob Ryan. He makes coming to work a whole heck of a lot of fun. And Rob Ryan understands the weapon that he has in Sean Rodgers in the middle of that defensive line. The reason why they're playing so well today, I think, is because he's able to take up 2 blockers on every single play. It does turn other guys loose.
Second, make it 3rd down, long 4. Really going to spread Hester wide. 5 in the secondary, including the receiver Furry, who plays some safety. Underneath, grabbed by Knox. Oh, the ball's loose. And Beekman jumped on it, but no gain on the play. Boy, there's some terrific coverage on the play. Adams was there. McDonald was there with the stop. 3 and out for Cutler in the offense.
Yeah, and watch, they forced a quick pass from Cutler. He dumps it off, but let's see this ball come out. Does it come out before he hits the ground? I think a knee was down, but Beekman pounces on it smartly, not even leaving it up to the officials.
There you see Maynard, and deep back is Cribbs. That's good because the last time we saw him on the Cleveland sideline, they were taking a look at that shoulder. Not a great deal of distance on this one either. Oh, and it takes a good Cleveland bounce to the 38-yard line. Things now beginning to really fall for the Browns in terms of field position. That was a 26-yard punt. Tough day for Maynard.
You know, Kevin, it's been 50 years since Hall of Fame quarterback Sid Luckman played for the Chicago Bears like Montana and Bradshaw. He won 4 league championships, including a 73-0 win over the Redskins. In the 50 years since he retired, they've won 2 titles, including the Super Bowl in 1985. They're still searching for that next great quarterback. They're hoping that it's Jay Cutler.
So is he.
Absolutely.
Grew up a Bears fan.
Can you imagine that? 50 years since Sid Luckman. How good was he to win 4 titles during the decade of the 1940s?
First and 10 with 2 tight ends. Lewis is in. Agunleye makes the stop. Agunleye with a tackle after a gain of 3. And he has been a nice addition to that defensive line over the years for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, you can see the numbers. Better to be Luckman than good. Look at the career completions where he ranks 3rd all time for the team and still 1st in passing yards and overall touchdowns. So you're talking about a real find in the 1940s, and boy, to have gone so long and not had a quarterback so good tells you how good Sid Luckman was.
Wildcat, 2nd and 7. Cribbs trying to dance free, hit on the play by Anthony Adams. It's a gain of 2. They're going to spot him at the 44-yard line. You've done a lot of study of the Wildcat over the last couple weeks because we've seen so much of it in the NFL.
Yeah, and really what teams are doing, and Cleveland's trying to do what Miami, I think, tends to do better than any other football team. Use the Wildcat as a running package because that 8th defender in the box is normally the free guy, but the 8th player on offense is actually the ball carrier. So you actually win in terms of the numbers. You make one guy miss, you take it to the house.
Gunley is out. Gaines Adams has come in. 3rd down and 5, and that is a loose ball and picked up by Manning. Or make it by Zach. What is Manning? Daniel Manning. The ball was down. And he's got an interception already today. 3rd turnover by the Cleveland Browns.
Steve Hyden, he's going to get the ball to him. And there's the catch. Now watch the hit. Hillenmeyer pulling at it. Manning actually gets it out. One guy held him, the other robbed him. And Manning's able to get that ball out, but you can see the catch by Hyden, and there's the strip. Hillenmeyer, nice hit by him, and then Manning strips it, recovers it. As you said, another turnover again by the Chicago Bears defense.
Here comes Cutler. You see the turnover story right there late here in the 3rd. 1st down and 10 from the Cleveland 49. Look at the time for Cutler. Hester couldn't hold on to it. Elam was there defending for the Cleveland Browns. Tuesday on CBS, the people are fake, the money is bogus, but the danger is real. Catch an all-new episode of NCIS Los Angeles. Comes your way Tuesday, only on CBS. Agunleye was on that last defensive play for Chicago. It was Alex Brown who had limped off the field, and Agunleye jumped back out onto the field, as did Gaines Adams. Nonetheless, they forced the turnover after the catch by Hyden and the fumble. 2nd down and 10. Forte, good block by Garza. And Abram Elam is there once again, dragging him down about the 41-yard line, and it's good for a gain of 8 on the play. Well, the defense might be wearing down just a bit for the Cleveland Browns. They've been out there a lot today.
Yeah, if you're the Chicago Bears, you got to like the way that Matt Forte has run the ball today and the way they've run it, particularly on 1st down with Shaun Rogers in the middle. The rush yards have been hard to come by for the Chicago Bears, but as you can see on that run play, they're staying committed to it. And Rob Ryan said, hey guys, we got to plug all the gaps. They're going to not only blitz Jay Cutler, they're going to even blitz on run plays to try to blow it up in the backfield.
3rd down and 2. Hester on one side, Knox on the other. The nickel for Cleveland. Big hit put on Cutler, who gets it downfield. Knox was down there. Flag was thrown. They had Rodney Poole along with Eric Wright covering. 31-yard pickup. Wright is down. Cutler was drilled by Sean Rogers. Watch the catch by the rookie.
Yeah, great catch. You could see the defenders all run into each other, but watch the price that Jay Cutler plays. He gets hit, and under the 350-pound weight of Sean Rogers, he stares down the barrel to complete this pass down the field. He took a lick so that Johnny Knox can catch the ball down the field. You see the dirt on the jersey. When your quarterback gets his uniform dirty and a bloody lip and a bloody tongue like what Jay Cutler has had today, boy, he's going to have to get in the whirlpool tomorrow. He's playing a football game today.
Well, the Chicago Bears playing their first home game in a month, who have, including today, 5 of the next 7 here. And as Lovie Smith told us on Friday, this is a time in our schedule, time on the calendar that will define us. And they've really kind of pinned a lot of their hopes of this season, which began with so much promise, on this time.
Well, I think they're smart enough. They know that coming into today, 10 games left on the calendar. And yeah, while they're staring up at Green Bay and the Minnesota Vikings, he understands that in Chicago, you have to come in here. You got to throw the ball in the wind and in the rain and in the mud. And he likes their chances. The way they play football, particularly on defense, and the way that they hope to be able to run the ball, they feel like they can win the majority of these games. Remember, week 2, they beat the defending Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers right here at home.
They hoist up Eric Wright, and that's the upcoming schedule for Chicago. Arizona is next year.
Next 4 games are for real, but you got to start with keeping your quarterback standing up. You know, people say a lot of things about Jay Cutler. I don't know if they give him enough credit for how tough he is. Take a look at that hit. We'll take a look at it after this play. Well, let's look at it now. Real speed. Here we go.
Well, now Coy Francis, who is a rookie out of San Jose State, on 1st and goal at the 10. Here comes Forte. Did he get inside the pylon? He did. Late call, touchdown, 10-yard run. Second touchdown run today by Forte.
Great run by Forte. Excellent read. We talk about the patience. Watch how he goes downhill, but then bounces it outside. And his ability to get to the outside, to the corner, and just kill the defense with speed. But it started with excellent vision, his read, and then the cut by Matt Forte, running much better today than he had in their previous game.
Chris Williams, the right tackle, and the tight end Desmond Clark with great blocking on the perimeter. Extra point is up and through. 1:42 to play here in the 3rd. Forte, a record-setting running back out of Tulane, who had one 100-yard game this season, coming into this afternoon, gets his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season. Saturday, the Home Depot SEC on CBS travels to Tuscaloosa to see the LSU Tigers take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. It all begins with the TIAA Cruft College football today. Right here on CBS. Forte, 19 carries, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns for this player, a former 2nd-round pick for the Chicago Bears. 13 points for Chicago, Solomon, off of 3 Cleveland turnovers this afternoon.
Yeah, it really started, I think, with the running game. Forte, 2 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, they did have to settle for field goals down inside the red zone. But once he got going, as he told us when we talked to him on Friday, when our run game gets going, we tend to go up and down the field on offense. I think he understood that he has to get it going if the Chicago Bears are going to get to where they want to go by the end of the season. It starts with their ability to run the ball with Matt Forte.
Running game number 29 coming into this afternoon as Gold has the ball teed up. He had 3 early field goals and some nice defensive red zone stands by the Cleveland Browns, but the constant pressure by Chicago, the turnovers by Cleveland, is a toxic mix, and you can see this result, 23-6. Here is the kickoff to Cribbs. Chased by Adrian Peterson and brought down on the play by Wolf. A couple running backs, reserve running backs, chasing him down. Wolf got him. Peterson, who's active today after suffering a knee injury and out the last couple games, chasing him down. 24-yard return.
Oh, and watch this tackle. Look at that. Wolf hitting to the legs of Joshua Cribbs, cutting them down, making the tackle on special teams.
Defensive line here will have Adams along with Harrison at the defensive tackles. Alex Brown, who hobbled off the last time, will be on the line as you take a look at the numbers on Garrett Wolf. And Agunlia on the near side. First down and 10. Lewis in the backfield. Hayden with the block. Agunlia makes the stop. 29-yard line. The defense has been resting. 1-yard gain on the play. Afalava was helping on the tackle.
And now you can see, I think the Chicago Bears are starting to get it going in all three phases. We've seen them make special teams. Devin Hester with a nice kick return. We've seen the special teams play very well in terms of keeping Joshua Cribbs hemmed in. The offense getting it going. Now I think the defense got to really make their minds up to be much better in terms of their run defense. They have created the turnovers, but boy, they're starting to get it going.
Second down and 9. Up the middle they come with Alex Brown outside for Chancey Stuckey. Hit by Hillenmeyer, driven out of bounds about the 41-yard line. Has a first down, first catch today, 11-yard pickup, and Chancey Stuckey has his 12th reception of the season.
But his first for the Cleveland Browns, and he's had 4 drops coming into today's game. And as we take a look at Brady Quinn, will he get a chance to play? And I got to believe that if this offense continues to sputter, and it has sputtered today plenty, he's completed 60% of his passes. Yeah, you got the 3 interceptions, but how do you know what you have in Brady Quinn if you doesn't allow him to play? We've seen a lot of Derek Anderson.
Couple tight ends on second down and 9. Make it first and 10. Here's a pass by Anderson. Cribbs on the wing. Afalava tries to knock him out of bounds. Then Tillman is across the way, runs him out of bounds at the 36. 23-yard catch and run.
In all fairness to Derek Anderson, this is a magnificent play. Watch him. Things start to break down a little bit. See, now as he scrambles, he keeps his head up and find the outlet receiver that is Joshua Cribbs. He didn't give up on the play. Anderson stayed with it. And even as the protection broke down, still found a way to get rid of the ball and get the completion.
That's into the quarter. Chicago with a couple of Forte touchdown runs. And on top of the Cleveland Browns at the end of 3, 23. The fourth quarter, first down and 10. Where the Cleveland Browns are in the Wildcat, and Cribbs has Stuckey in motion, hands off to Jamal Lewis. He broke a tackle in there of Roach, and then he was hammered on the play by Marcus Harrison. Gain of 6. Well, there you take a look at undefeated Chicago native Brett Rogers. He'll get the opportunity of a lifetime taking on the #1 MMA fighter in the world, Russian Fedor Emelianenko, this Saturday night on CBS, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Should be fun to watch. Second down and 4. Hayden is in motion. The Wildcat again. Cribbs. Lead blocked by Vicker. Fumble on the play. I think Roach is the one who spun the ball out of his grasp, and it looks like the Browns have retrieved it at the 27.
And Nick Roach, 53, was a guy who made the tackle and stripped simultaneously. Watch number 53 comes off the block, spinning around right there, right into the tackle, and there's the strip fumble. And the Cleveland Browns are able to pounce on it.
Well, they turned it over. The Browns have 3 times today. Now it is third down and 2. Harris on this defensive series has been in. Agunlia is one defensive end. Brown is the other. They got 5 in the secondary. Cribbs in motion. Anderson hands off to Harrison, who's hit by Lance Briggs. A gain of a yard, shy of a first down. I'm sure they're going to go for it. The ball's down to about the 27-yard line.
I think you have to go for it. I mean, take a look at the scoreboard. You understand 4-down territory. If you're Eric Mangini, you have run the ball at least very effectively here in the second half of this ball game. Continue to try to give the ball to Jamal Lewis, who's been tough to tackle here in the second half. Let your offensive line tee off.
Massaquoi, top of your screen, 4th and a long 1. Harrison in the backfield. Incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Hayden, who's missed the last couple games with the knee. Afalava was there with the coverage. Al Afalava, who is a 6th-round pick out of Oregon State, starting every game. He foils him on 4th down. On downs, it goes back to Chicago. We lead 23-6. Tommy Harris is in at the defensive tackle alongside Anthony Adams. Mark Adams is one and Agrunlia is the other. Harrison in the backfield, 1st and 10. Anderson, here comes Anderson with a throw, dropped. Massaquoi, did he fumble the ball? Was it caught? They rule it is a turnover. Wow. A fumble. And the 4th turnover reeled in, vacuumed in by Tillman. A turnover by the rookie Mohamed Massaquoi out of Georgia.
Good throw by Derek Anderson. Well timed, and Massaquoi makes the catch. Now watch the hit. The hit and strip by Nick Roach jars the ball loose. Tillman falls on it, and the Bears come up with yet another turnover.
Roach has turned it over twice with his forced fumbles.
My best.
Massaquoi with the fumble. 4th turnover by Cleveland today, to which Chicago has rattled off 13 points. Forte has 2 rushing touchdowns. 1st down and 10, the Chicago Bears at their 15-yard line. Rodgers will enter the defensive line for Cleveland. Bennett blocked by Williams. Francis along with Bowens combine on the stop. 32-yard line, 17-yard gain for the all-time leading receiver in the Southeastern Conference, Earl Bennett out of Vanderbilt. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS returns with doubleheader action. First Dolphins and Patriots. Ravens will tangle with Bengals. Nightcap has the Chargers traveling east to take on the Giants. Check local listings beginning with the NFL Today on CBS. The rookie Francis is down, and he's taking the place of the injured Eric Wright. Eric Barton is out with the shoulder. We told you that earlier, so they've been trying to plug in a lot of different players like Costanzo and Maiava in the middle. There's a look at Francis, who has been inactive a great portion of this season.
The wicked block by Chris Williams on Francis is what rolled him up, and why he's a little bit shaken. They pulled the right tackle, 315 pounds of offensive lineman in Chris Williams to block a small, tiny cornerback out on the perimeter. And that's why Bennett was able to go off that block to have a sizable gain.
Now they will bring in Hank Poteet, the 3rd different cornerback that they've had to use today.
Look at the second half numbers for the Chicago Bears on offense. They would really like to get something going on this possession.
3rd different left corner out there right now. It is a 1st and 10. Forte hit by Bowens, knocked down by Adams, picks up 5 on the play to the 35. Let's go to James Brown.
Hey, Kevin, a Colts touchdown pass, nothing new about that, but the fact that it's Joseph Adai, the running back, throwing, not a pretty one, but effective. 22 yards to Reggie Wayne for the score. Manning, by the way, does not have a touchdown toss in 41 attempts today. Colts up by 4. Back to Kevin and Solomon.
Not that big of a surprise. Adai was a All-America high school quarterback in Houston, Texas. Went to LSU, and they changed him once he got there from quarterback to running back. Thank you, James. 2nd down and 5. Flag has been thrown. Rodgers can't get it. Cutler, and there goes Jay looking for a block, which Forte gives Tresnick. And then out of bounds, Maiava. The rookie makes the stop. Maiava is out of USC. 11-yard scramble. We told you flags are on the field. At the 42-yard line on the near side.
Jay Cutler's got no quit in him. Boy, we talk about Ben Roethlisberger being a football player. How about Jay Cutler?
Well, that's what you get. He signed the big extension, did Jay Cutler.
Holding number 24, defense, 5-yard penalty from the end of the run, automatic 1st down.
They've got a lot of money invested in Cutler. And there's a look And Eric Wright is back out on the field.
We talk about some of the hits that he's taken today. He's not afraid to get his jersey dirty. You said it, with blood on his lip and dirt on his jerseys, continuing to grind it out in this football game. And you got to love that. I think if you're going to be a quarterback for the Chicago Bears, don't you think you got to be a little bit tough?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But he's now a 4-year, $40 million extension tough for the Chicago team.
Got to be smart, too.
Absolutely, he is. Went to Vanderbilt. First down and 10. Forte, Pace with the block. And they knock him down about the 44-yard line, hit by Tresnick after a gain of 4. We talked so long about Chicago quarterbacks and what they've had to go through here. They've looked for this franchise guy for so long. Look at the list that have gone through here since Sid Luckman.
Notable starter since Luckman. Jack Concannon, Bobby Douglas, Bob Avellini, Vince Evans. Jim McMahon's the last Pro Bowl quarterback that they've had. And I think 1986, you've had guys like Jim Miller and Eric Kramer who've had good seasons, but they're looking for a guy who can be their quarterback for the next 10 years.
Second down and 6. 3 years ago, Rex Grossman took him to a Super Bowl. And they hand off. And the tackle was made on the play by Robert Smith. It was on Forte after a gain of 3 to the 41. I say he took him to, he was the quarterback. I don't necessarily think he is the one that took them, but he was at that position during that season.
But this is a quarterback, Jay Cutler, who certainly has his hands on the steering wheel. Wherever this team goes, he's going to be the driver. He's going to be the conductor. And what did Johnny Knox tell us about Jay Cutler? He said, I owe him everything for what I've done so far my rookie year. He's the guy that I can go to. He has confidence in me, and he told us that as a person, Jay Cutler is a guy that's easy to work with, and he is a difference maker.
3rd and 3, nickel secondary. Cutler calls time. Play clock had a couple seconds on there, but Jay is going to talk things over as he goes to the sideline. 8.5 to play in this one.
Don't take a hit. Don't take a sack. Don't hold on to it if it's not there, because really it was just a play-action pass, a one-man route, designing to suck the defense up to the line of scrimmage and get his receiver open on the back end. If it's not open immediately, it's not going to be there. Just throw it away and live to fight another day.
Cutler has thrown 7 red zone interceptions the last 2 years, the most in the NFL. Second down and goal at the 2. Forte blocked by McKee. Avalanche of defenders down there making the stop. No gain. Boy, they had Rodgers down there, and they had Abram, Elam, and Bowens. All kinds of guys stopping them right there. Of course, this has been something that Cleveland has kind of hung their hat on. They've stopped some red zone performances by Chicago.
And Sean Rodgers told us this is where he prides himself as the point man at the nose tackle position, zero technique in the middle of a defense that come in ranked dead last in the National Football League, 31st against the run. But Rob Ryan has enough pride where he's sending everyone on this play.
3rd and goal at the 2. Forte hit by Ataba Rubin and brought down. 1 yard gain inside the 1. Stopped right there. I think for confidence sake, you've almost got to go for it here and just break this string of bad luck in the red zone.
Here's the deal, because Chicago Bears know they have to be able to run the ball in November and December. But right now, against a team that's ranked 31st in terms of their run defense, they cannot power it in. And Sean Rodgers and many of the defensive linemen for this Cleveland Brown team, they are determined to turn back the Browns on this play.
There are 5 defensive linemen. There are 2 defensive backs. The rest of them are linebackers. 4th and goal at the 1. The fake to Forte. Here comes C.J. Mosley. And knocked away by Wembley, and on downs. Cleveland will take over. A moral victory for this defense, which has proven to be very good in the red zone. And there's Rob Ryan and Cutler jawing back and forth at each other.
Yeah, look at Rob Ryan.
Oh, and a nice hello.
Rob Ryan.
A nice Chicago greeting.
Said something to Jay Cutler. And Jay Cutler says, Rob and I know each other well from my time in Denver. Rob Ryan in Oakland, and it's just a play-action pass. He has to get rid of it. See the pressure in his face? Hoping to find Dez Clark in the back of the end zone. Wonder why Cameron Wembley didn't intercept it instead of batting it down. And Jay Cutler had no choice but to try to give his tight end a chance to make a play. And how about the coordinator on defense for Cleveland taking the challenge from Jay Cutler?
Harrison in the backfield, 1st and 10 on downs. It goes to the Browns. Mark Anderson makes the stop. He got out of the end zone. They're going to mark him inside the 1. It is not a safety. There was no gain. It'll be 2nd and 10. The last time we saw Cutler jawing with someone, he was jawing with Phillip Rivers, the San Diego quarterback.
Well, on this play, I think if you're the Chicago Bears on defense, you've got to be even more inspired. The way you saw the Cleveland Browns defense play, yeah, the ball made it out of the end zone. All it has to do is break that white line on the goal line. But if you're Tommy Harris, and if you're Lance Briggs, if you're the Chicago Bears on defense, you've got to be inspired with what Cleveland's doing on defense and be determined to come away with some points in this situation and stop the Cleveland Browns.
Now Jamal Lewis is in 2nd down and 10. And Lewis gets a little bit of breathing space. Hit by Payne and Tommy Harris and the bunch. No gain on the play. Mark Anderson getting off that pile. Bottom of the pile was Big Anthony Adams.
What did Lance Briggs tell us? We've got to earn our respect back one game at a time. The fact that Cleveland Brown defense put up a goal line stand against your offense. Now you've got them pinned against the goal line. This will be a real good opportunity and a good time to start getting some of that respect back.
Maybe a takeaway. They've had 4 takeaways today as Chicago's defense 3rd down and 10. Lewis in the backfield. Anderson. He's hit as he throws. It is intercepted. It's picked off by Tillman. He gets by Wade. Look at this. Look at this. 21-yard return. I'm looking for a flag. I see no flag. A 5th takeaway. A touchdown interception for Charles Tillman.
How do you spell respect? Blood in the water. Play like a shark. There's Charles Tillman. He makes the catch. It's clean. He gets up, not just satisfied with the interception. He puts 6 on the board, and that's a defense playing their heart out for their coach, Lovie Smith, who's calling the plays on defense, sensing the opportunity to turn that kind of field position into a positive for their defense.
Gold has got 3 field goals today with the extra point. Chicago, 5 takeaways, the last of which was returned 21 yards by Tillman for the touchdown. And look at this. Brady Quinn warming up for the Cleveland Browns. And the dejected Anderson.
Why do you make the change at quarterback now? You see the quarterback comparison. Now look at this. His quarterback rating. Yeah, that's pretty woeful. Now, you got to understand that Jay Cutler certainly playing one heck of a game, and he's got better weapons. Anderson's got a lot of young receivers around him. They're a young football team. And I'm sure he's telling Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator, I had to throw it up because I couldn't get sacked in my own end zone. And I think he's right. The problem is it was a poor throw. You've got to throw that ball out near the sideline where only your guy can get it and no one else can get it. Where he put it, 2 defensive players for the Bears had an opportunity to come down with the interception.
That is the 3rd touchdown interception return for Charles Tillman. And Tillman gets his 2nd interception of the season, the 22nd of his career. And Tillman in his 7th season. And the interesting thing about Tillman, he struggled last week guarding Ocho Cinco in Cincinnati. Chan had a huge day, and he struggled against him in their 1-on-1 matchup. But he finds a little revenge today with the interception and the touchdown return. Cribbs gets by Davis. Payne is chasing. He can't get him. Flag is down. Manager couldn't bring him down, and finally he is whacked down the play by Daryl McClover on a 55-yard return. And flags, as I said, are on the field. 1 at the 21, 1 at the 33.
Here comes Brady Quinn.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 27, 10-yard penalty.
Sorensen.
First down.
So Brady Quinn getting final instructions. And he will come in with his numbers. He came out of training camp as the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, losing the job a couple games into the year.
And I think the instructions have to be, don't turn the ball over. Move the chains. Take what the defense gives you. don't take sacks, and don't turn the ball over. Ball security has to be #1 for Brady Quinn.
Chicago has scored 20 points off 5 Cleveland turnovers today. Look at that quarterback rating. Wow. 1st and 10. Quinn, Massaquoi, hit by Tillman, won't get a bounds, and Massaquoi will shove to Tillman, who gave one initially to Massaquoi. And a gain of 9, close to a 1st down.
Turnovers have really plagued the Cleveland Browns, especially here today, whether it's the interceptions by Derek Anderson, fumbles by Jamal Lewis, your veteran players like Steve Heighton putting the ball on the ground, and then another freebie. Generosity has really killed the Cleveland Browns offense. 4 turnovers, a total of 5 today. And you can see the turnover differential has not been good at all.
2nd down and 1 with Harrison in the backfield. That's incomplete. The ball was coming outside. Massaquoi, the rookie receiver, was going straight up the numbers and trying to burn him with a route that took him straight ahead.
Well, Massaquoi's got to know that he's got to snap the route off. 3-step drop. See, they're blitzing, but he continues to run up the field. So everyone expected the 3-step drop. On the hot route, he's got to turn it into a shorter route and prepare himself to catch the ball. Clearly not on the same page as his quarterback, Brady Quinn.
Cleveland on 3rd downs today, 1 of 10, 3rd down and 1. Harrison in. Drop by Hyde.
It doesn't get better. You can swap out quarterbacks, but when guys continue to put the ball on the ground, run wrong routes, it really is going to hurt the performance of the quarterback. You can see Brady Quinn trying to assert some leadership to Massaquoi, say, hey, you didn't snap off your route. Pay attention to what we're doing. And you got a lot of young players. But, you know, Brady Quinn's a smart guy. I can tell you right now, I believe he knows the offense. He knows where guys are supposed to line up and where they're supposed to be.
Zastudil with the punt. He's been busy today. Hester drifting back to the 30. Shaw with the block. Here he comes. There goes a flag. Daniel Manning with the block, and there he goes. They'll chase him into the end zone, but like I said, flags are down. And I think it was on Chicago.
Wow. Is he fun to watch or what?
Oh, yeah. Him and Cribbs both 2 terrific return men. 2 of the most explosive in the NFL.
During the return, holding, number 81, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's Rashid Davis, who picks it up. As much as he will sit there and protest, they're telling him to.
Lucky Smith said, that's enough. Go have a seat. That's where they're calling it right there. Is that much of a hold? I'm not so sure of it. The details are very sketchy on that one.
36-yard line, 1st down and 10. 2.5 to play in what will be Chicago's 4th win of the season, stopping a 2-game losing streak. And Cleveland will drop to 1-7. Wolf will run the ball.
He won't go down.
5 and finally brought down by Robert Smith, the ex-Tennessee tight. Gain of 5. Wolf, 3 years out of Northern Illinois. Coming up to the 2-minute warning. Massaquoi still being counseled on not only the drop earlier, but this time being talked about his route running. Boy, there's a lot on Mangini's plate now in Cleveland. 5 Chicago Bear takeaways and 20 points the result. Early on, some pretty good red zone defense by Cleveland, but just the avalanche of turnovers, and they just broke Cleveland's defense today.
Well, look at the balance on offense by the Chicago Bears. 20 of their points have come off those 5 turnovers by the Cleveland Brown offense.
2nd down and 5. Cutler still in. Wolf getting a block from Des Clark. and close to a first down. Gain of about 5 on the play. Coming up in the Subway postgame show, James Brown, Dan Shannon, Boomer, Coach Cowher, NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Subway postgame show from our CBS studios in New York. Here is a timeout. It was taken by Cleveland. Cleveland has taken a timeout.
You mean they want to prolong this thing, right?
Well,
no answer.
I have no answer for you right there. But well, he looks like he's been riding the bull all day. And speaking of that, coming up after football on the CBS Sports Spectacular, the world's top bull riders take on the world's toughest bulls at the 2009 PBR Built Ford Tough World Finals.
We talked to Eric Mangini. We sat after our initial meeting was over. We talked about tackling drills. And boy, we were both coaching it up. This guy's inability to get Devin Hester on the ground, of course, on one play, and then turnovers more than anything has hurt his football team. But you get the sense that, you know, he really is trying to coach his guys up and making all the moves necessary. How about David Bowens moving into inside linebacker? I thought made a difference today playing next to Eric Barton, but just way too many holes to fill right now for Eric Mangini. This is not a very good football team, to be honest with you. Their inability to move the ball on offense. I think defensively, Rob Ryan has his guys putting up a fight. But when you turn it over 5 times, you put your defense in a real difficult position. And sooner or later, the floodgates just burst wide open.
And on the second down run, look at Garrett Wolfe. Chased by Brodney Poole and out of bounds at about the 13-12-yard line. Poole chased him, brought him down. 35-yard run by Garrett Wolfe, who's taking the place of Matt Forte, who had 2 touchdown runs today himself for the Chicago Bears.
Speaking of floodgates, you know, Garrett Wolfe is one of those guys. He comes in wanting to make a name for himself. So if you think the Chicago Bears are just going to give up because the score is 30-6, you know, Wolfe, he doesn't care. He wants to come in and break off a couple of big runs. He goes in for film study tomorrow. He gets to see himself running up and down the football field.
And for the Chicago Bears now, they thought this was a very crucial part of their schedule, beginning today, 5 of the next 7 at home. They've started on the right foot, regaining some momentum after their horrible loss last week in Cincinnati. They come back, and now they are 4-3.
Well, we asked the guys, including Lovie Smith, this is one of those get-right games. His team needed to get right today. They needed this kind of win, but more importantly, they needed to play well in all 3 phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, and boy, did they.
Chicago goes to 4-3. Cleveland goes to 1-7. 5 Cleveland turnovers. Another tough day at the office for Eric Mangini. 30-6 is our final score. The Chicago Bears have beaten the Cleveland Browns. Coming up, the Subway postgame show, and all the scores today is Cutler and Rob Ryan. 2 competitors were jawing each other on the field during the game. Now a quiet conversation leaving the field. Subway postgame show is next. We'll take you to New York for all the scores and highlights. After this, good night from Chicago.
Just 2 touchdowns. Lovie's crew came up with a season-high 5 forced turnovers. Forte with 2 touchdowns in this one, rushed for 90 yards. Cutler throws a pick, his 11th on the year. Bears moved to 4-3. That's right, the Browns are that bad. Welcome to U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. I am Pat Boyle. Mike Sy with 2 former Bears on this day. Mr. GQ, Jerry Azuma, and our lead blocker, Dan Jiggets. Jim Miller will join us in just a bit. It was nice to see the Bears come up with all the turnovers today, 5 in all. And I know you're supposed to be fired up about a win, and I am. But this one felt like,
You know, look, you win the ones you can. Because one of the things that was frightening me coming into this game was this was the perfect time for Cleveland to come in and get a win. You know, everybody's down on them. The Bears coming off of a bad week against Cincinnati. Maybe they're a little down. but certainly is one reason why they won today, the Bears that is, and that is because of defense. The defense produced turnovers. The offense failed to produce a lot of points off those turnovers. Unfortunately, though, the defense held Cleveland down.
We all felt bad last week, Zoom, after that performance in Cincinnati. How did this one feel to you?
I mean, it started off real slow. It started off shaky, especially with the offense in the red zone. Punt after punt after punt. You know, and then finally they started to get things going. But defense, let me tell you, they came to play today, and they were all over the football field. 5 turnovers. Great job.
Hey, you know, one of the things that was pleasing to see, though, today on the offensive side, Pat, was the fact that even if things weren't going well in the run game, they stayed with it. And then you see the result of it. As time goes by, it wears a defense down because it's so much easier for offensive linemen to lay out and fire out on those blocks. And by the way, those guys in the offensive line were moving their feet today. And you see the difference. Matt Forte, a 4-yarder, a 5-yarder. Boom, boom, boom. That's the way you're supposed to do it.
Whoa. But let's not pretend like the offensive line had this stellar game.
No, they didn't. Okay. They didn't protect the passer very well today.
They did what they
concentrated on running the football.
As always, we want to hear from you. Send us your comments, and some of those will appear at the bottom of our sports ticker. Keep them short, keep them clean. Go to csnchicago.com, click on the Bears PGL icon, or if you want to get us with your mobile device, might be just leaving Soldier Field, heading to your favorite watering hole, email us at bearspgl@comcastsportsnet.com. Here are just some of the emails that we have coming in to csnchicago.com. Like Dave and Crestwood said, this team is fooling nobody. I've never seen such a sorry offensive line, and make no mistake, our secondary will soon be exposed. We will be lucky to win 8 games. That's Dave in Crestwood. Let's get this thing going with our opening kickoff. And as always, we begin with Dan Jiggets. Jigs?
Well, I want to talk about the defense today because I think that's the way you have to play. You have to play aggressive, get after people, and certainly the defense did that. Did Cleveland have a couple of plays here and there? Sure. They're professionals. They get paid as well. But when you look at it in the total, the defense did one heck of a job today, producing turnovers, producing points. You asked for it, you got it today.
That's right, and that's what Lovey preaches. Lovey always preaches pressure on the defense. Then he also preaches turnovers. They were able to come away with 5 of them. A pick 6 by Pina Tillman, which was really big at the later part of the football game. But that's what you want to see your defense do. You want to see your defense get after the quarterback, pretty much shut down the run, and create turnovers, and they did that today.
But you also want to see your offense take advantage of those turnovers.
Exactly
Only
right.
20 points on those 5 turnovers on the day. And again, the red zone. They've only scored 7 points all season long in the first quarter. Today, they settle for the field goals to start this game. Bears in the red zone, 6 trips today, 18 plays, a total of 27 net yards, the 3 field goals, the 2 touchdowns, and they had the turnover on downs in the fourth quarter. Got to get better in that department.
Between the red zone problems that they had, and Rob Ryan was coming at him with a lot of different looks.
He's coming at Jay Cutler with a lot of different looks, too.
Not only when they got down the red zone, but on a full-time basis. That caused some serious problems in the pass protection. You saw Jay take a couple of really good shots today. So all of that added in. Yeah, offensively, you weren't as productive as you need to be. You didn't get anything done down in the red zone to really speak of. Thank goodness, though, the defense put one away for you.
But, Jiggs, where's the creativity of this offense? It seems like when they get into the red zone, there's no creativity anymore.
Yeah, when you look, number one, they tried to run the ball a couple of times down there. You're on the 1-yard line. If you can't get the ball in from the 1-yard line in 4 plays, then you need to find another line of work, I think. I mean, that's brutal. That's this far you got to go. And you got guys you're paying a lot of dough to get it done. Let's get it done. That's a problem for the offensive line. And the other problem was I spoke of earlier was the fact that they didn't protect the passer as well as they should have. And I also go back to the offensive coordinator. You look at a lot of that stuff, and those were hot reads. The quarterback's got to make the right read because somebody's coming unblocked, and the quarterback has to know who that guy is.
Jay Cutler was sacked 4 times on this day. Make it 24 consecutive games that the Bears offensive line has given up a sack. That is the longest active streak in the NFL. That tells me the offensive line hasn't been good for a long time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you give up a sack here or there, that's one thing. But to give up 4 to a weak defensive front like Cleveland's is something quite another. And a very, I guess you could say, unimpressive effort in the passing game by the offensive line.
Seems like they need to get back on that sled.
Well, you know what? Get on the sled, get on the pass pro, a lot of things to take care of. But overall, look, you got the win, and that's something that you expected, sure. But, getting it is something else.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about that offensive line. Did a better job, seemingly in the second half, opening up some creases for Matt Forte. Did a better job run blocking than they did pass blocking. Would you say that?
Oh, yeah.
That's been the reverse of what we've seen most of the season.
Right, and a lot of it was because of, you saw what Cleveland was doing. They were bringing guys in, dropping guys out off the line of scrimmage. And that's where sometimes, if you look at the number of people that are rushing and who you've got back there in protection, sometimes the quarterback, as they like to say, has to block somebody. And sometimes he did today. Unfortunately, he didn't get the ball off, or he didn't read the guy that was coming fast enough, and that was the guy that got him.
But another good thing also is seeing Forte get to the outside, getting off tackle and things like that. So it was really nice to see that as well.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, you'll see run game where you may get a yard here, a yard there, no gain, and then he'll pop one off for 4, pop one off for 5. That's normally the way the run game goes. And, when you get those big slices and you really gash somebody, that's unusual. Usually it's just that, kind of grinding it out. And that's the fun part about the run game, and that's why it wears down defensive linemen so much by the end of the game.
Let's get into coaching right now. Last week after the loss in Cincinnati, a lot of people were on Lovie and his coaching staff. Your thoughts on what the coaching staff did today against, a team that's ranked 32nd in total defense, 31st in total offense. Evaluate the coaching.
I think they basically need to turn it up. You saw the offense in the red zone basically just spin their wheels. They were able to get, 9 points, I think that was, in the first half. And that is just totally unacceptable against a Cleveland defense. You need to go after them. You need to attack them. You need to score points. And that's what it's all about.
Essentially, I look at it this way. When you get the ball down there in the red zone off of a turnover and you come out with a field goal, that's like a turnover. You really need to start putting 6 points up on the board every time down there. And that's something that they've got to get back to. And, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if the answer is, more run plays, more pass plays. That's what those guys get paid to figure out. But they better figure it out.
But it also seems like this offense is just very basic. Like, they're just running basic textbook plays. And they have to switch this thing up a little bit. They have to get creative, and they have to find ways to get the ball into the playmakers' hands.
Well, it's obvious. I mean, especially on the inside run stuff, that defenses have a pretty good read on them, and I don't know if it's by formation or what, but they've definitely got a read on what they're trying to do. And the same thing, the defensive line is still trying to block the offensive line, but they did less of it today. They were less successful doing it. But Shaun Rogers was a one-man wrecking crew inside.
Coming up in just a bit, we will bring you Jay Cutler. Let's go there live to Soldier Field. Let's listen in.
Ready, cause we're halfway into the season, so we're coming into the November and December when months you got to start playing your best football to make a push in the playoffs. If you can get to the first half relatively uninjured and keep all your guys and keep getting better and better and better, and then the second half is where the NFL is really you make it or break it.
What was the most you've been hit this year?
I'm gonna have to go back and look at the film and see exactly what happened. But Shaun Rogers is a big guy, so every time he hits you, that counts as 2.
Have you ever come out of a 24-point win like this before, saying over and over again, we gotta get better, we gotta get better?
No, I don't know. I mean, there's been times where everything kind of goes your way. On one side of the ball, and defensively, it seemed like that. They had a great game plan. We got to give a little bit of credit to Cleveland and Rob Ryan and those guys. I've always respected him in the past when he was at Oakland. I think he's a great competitor, one of the best defensive minds in football. So he had a good plan. He mixed a lot of things up for us. But offensively, we've got to take a look at this and find out what we can do better and where we need to make improvements.
Was it one of the more frustrating games for you? It seemed like that.
Yeah, when things aren't going your way, it's always frustrating. We just got to remember it's a four-quarter game. We just got to keep plugging away. And we made some plays when we were supposed to. We didn't make every play, but we need to make more plays if we're gonna beat some really quality teams in the future.
What did you say to Ryan? You and Rob exchanging cell phone numbers there?
I love Rob Ryan, and I think that he's always liked and respected me. Like I said, I think he's a great coach. You can just see the energy he brings on the sideline for those guys, and I've always enjoyed playing against him. I've always enjoyed competing against him. I think he's one of the best in football, and it's fun. He brings an energy level and a fun level to football that not all defensive guys do. So I've always enjoyed going against the guy.
Jay, can you take a weekly beating like this? I mean, this was a pretty bad beating.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we don't find out. Like I said, we got to get better offensively.
Did you need something to go well for you in with the offense. You were struggling a little bit. Then you got the roughing the passer penalty, and things seemed to.
You know, that's not. You can't depend on roughing the passer penalties to be your momentum. You know, 'cause you're not always going to get those. You know, we've got to get some big runs. We've got to get some big passes, and get the wheels going a little bit. I mean, if we're gonna bank on offensive pass interference or offensive roughing the passer, we're gonna be in trouble.
Jay, was there a series where you felt the team was in sync?
That we had a lot of series. We had a lot. I mean, it was kind of a weird game. We had weird field position a lot. We were in the red zone a lot, much like the Detroit game. So, we never really were able to get a full, 60, 70, 80-yard drive going. So, I'm happy we got to win. The whole locker room's happy we got to win. But I think offensively, we know where we have to improve to help out the defense. When we can't count, I mean, the defense is going to get turnovers. Are they going to get 6, 7, 8 turnovers a game? Probably not.
Jay, after the fourth down stop, you and Ryan had an exchange.
Yeah.
It looked like it was angry. What was that about?
It was angry. It was competitive. Like I said, he brings a lot of energy. After the game, I talked to him. He's a great guy. I think he's a great coach.
Did you see much of a difference up front with Josh at left guard instead of Frank?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't really get a look at the offensive line. We see the pictures and stuff, but blocking-wise, that all show in the film tomorrow. I like Beak there. I liked Frank there. We felt it was best to make a change, and Beak's going to go out there and compete. He's going to do everything possible to do his job and help us win ball games.
You ever get beat up like that? You ever get beat up like that before in a 24-point victory?
I don't know. I have to go back and think about it. I don't know. We gotta start improving. We gotta start getting better offensively.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And upbeat Jay Cutler after the 36 victory over the Cleveland Browns. Jay better fill out his will. The O-line is going to get him killed. That's Chris from Farmington, Minnesota. The guy was sacked 4 times, 17 of 30, 225 yards. He had the interception. Almost had a touchdown. Here's Lovey. He's addressing the media live at Soldier Field. Let's take you there on Comcast Sports Net.
Returner. I thought our coverage units on the special teams did a great job of holding down a great player in Joshua Cribbs throughout the day. We wanted to slow him down a little bit, but I never thought we would be able to shut him out like that. So started with the kicks and, of course, the coverage units from there. Offensively, guys did a good job of, a few weeks ago we were down in the red zone 3 times and didn't get any points. Today we were able to get some points when the defense got the takeaways, which was big. Of course, we like to be able to get touchdowns, and Jay got hit a few more times than we would like for him to today. But 30 points up on the board, of course, you like to see that. Running game, it's good. We're committed to the run as much as anything. Even when you're not getting yards, sometimes you have to stay committed to it, which we will be. Defensively, it's what we've been looking for. Talked a lot about the 3rd down conversions. I think they were 1 of 11 or something like that. That's huge to get off the field, to get off the offense a chance to do something with the ball and the takeaways. We haven't scored defensively a touchdown in a long time, so it was good to see that. Thought Danielle Manning, of course, great interception, great stripping the ball out. Just, we've been waiting for a day like that from Danielle, possibly the best athlete on the team, and Charles Tillman. Those guys really stood up. But, team effort for us. We needed this win. November is a key month, and for us, this home stand that we have to take advantage of it. Winning this game puts us in position next week. Injury-wise, if you would let me, Craig Steltz should be okay. We'll continue to evaluate him. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I know you don't want your quarterback to take a beating, but what is the advantage of having a guy like Jay who does at times take a beating and always gets up?
Jay's not going to complain. Of course, he took a few more licks than we would like, but some days are like that. And it does say a lot about him that he can sit in there. He won't go through a lot like that. But at the same time, he was able to do some things. We'll go back to the practice field and try to improve in that area, too.
How would you assess today's performance by the offense?
Winning performance is what I would say. I mean, it's about the team. You know, as I said earlier, we had opportunities with the takeaways. You like touchdowns, but we got field goals. Not a lot of turnovers. It wasn't our best offensive day, but when you're not having your best offensive day, you can't turn the ball over and have bad plays like that, and we didn't.
Jay came in here. The first thing he said was, we've got to get better on offense.
We have. Team has to get better. It's a big win for us. There's a lot of errors. We'll go back and evaluate the video, but we're making progress.
Lovie, did you think it was a little excessive when Shaun Rogers buried Jay into the turf after the pass?
Well, of course, the official felt pretty good about the call, so we have to. It's hard sometimes. I have a real good angle. From the angle that I had, Rick, yeah, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Lovie, how tough of a week was this for you guys bouncing back from last Sunday?
What happened last Sunday? And that's really the approach that we had to take. That was last. Things happen. You can't let one opponent beat you, the next week by harping on it too much. Our guys went back to the practice field this past week. Of course, there's a sense of urgency. We need to keep that going. We have a long ways to go still, but we made progress.
Lovie, how does the adjustments work with Hunter moving inside and Vasher coming in and Aikman?
I think they've done a good job throughout. We've asked, normally you don't have to go through that many changes, but with injuries and things like that, we've had to. But the adjustment went well. When both guys were healthy, Nick was our Mike, or Nick was our Sam, and Hunter was our Mike. Now that we have the group back together, that's how we've gone with it. But we feel comfortable with Nick was playing Mike too.
How encouraging was it to get all those turnovers on defense?
Very. It's been a while since we've gotten them. We won games. That's a part of our philosophy, our approach to winning football games.
Audio. All right, someone cut the audio there at Soldier Field. And look who's here. Just like the Bears offense showed up a little late on this day.
Did I mention that the traffic in Chicago is a bear?
Well, Jim, I was waiting for you to get here because I know you like the toast, my friend.
I'll tell you what.
How does it taste, Jigs? How does it taste? Like victory.
It didn't look great out of the gates there with all the 3 and outs. So your thoughts on this Bears offense today and their production?
Only fitting that post-Halloween. It looked a little scary at the beginning of it. But really, when you look at the first half, the 3 red zone decisions, when you throw a screen in the red zone, it didn't mesh up. We tried the Wildcat, where the mesh didn't work out between Forte and Devin Hester. And then the other one was the sack. So 3 scoring opportunities missed by the Bears. So it didn't look pretty, but really just 3 plays. Hard to run a Wildcat unless you go back to the OTAs. That's something you got to work on every week. You see Cleveland do it. You see Miami do it because they're used to running that formation.
And what about running Forte? We even saw it ran Garrett, between the tackles. I mean, Jigs, this offensive line is not capable of getting that accomplished.
The bad part about today was when you look at certain situations with an offensive line in terms of protecting the passer. In terms of running the football, though, today they were over at 4 yards per rush. So when you get to that point, it's just a question of when you do it. When you look at the goal line situations, like I said earlier, if you can't get the football in from 1 yard out with 4 tries, then you got a problem. You got to try to figure something out. That's brutal to be down on the 1 yard line and not be able to punch it in.
All right, coming up, we're going to have player reaction from Soldier Field as our Kip Lewis is there. Let's check out our U.S. Cellular poll question as we head to break. After the 30-6 victory over the Browns, do you feel any better about your Bears? A, yes, good to see them win. B, no, it was against the lowly Browns. Or C, not sure, confused like the Bears in the red zone. Log on to csnchicago.com to vote away. Plus, send us your thoughts on today's win. We'll have the results on this day, getting it done, allowing just 6 points, 74 passing yards, 117 on the ground. They come away with the 5 takeaways, but just 1 sack as the Browns were 1 for 11 on 3rd down. How bad is Derek Anderson, guys? I mean,
he's brutal.
Serious.
Can I bring up something that, as you watched him today and you look at his numbers and compare him to Brady Quinn's now, it was an interesting conversation that was going on during the game. They were talking about a roster bonus should Brady Quinn happen to reach certain
70% of the snaps with the Browns.
And they were saying, well, after, a certain point during the season, he can't reach that goal. And I'm thinking, doesn't that attack the integrity of the game? It's obvious that this kid is not as good a quarterback as Brady Quinn.
Yeah.
How do you go out and make that decision? There's something else in Cleveland. You got Josh Cribbs, your Pro Bowl return man. You got him running down on kickoffs.
Yeah.
And he does wide receiver, wildcat, punt returns, kick return, and running down on kick. There's something wrong in Cleveland.
Yeah, Mangini does that. Then it's 16 zip, and he's content going to the clubhouse, you know.
Yeah, 9, 10 seconds, 16 seconds left on the clock. Oh, well, let's just take it in,
boys. It really does 16.
I'm looking at it, I'm just going, I know he used to be the ball boy, I guess, at Cleveland. Maybe that's where he needs to be again.
If Derek Anderson came in with a 40.5 quarterback rating and he was 0 quarterback rating at the half, they only had a downturn of 40%. So really, it really wasn't
everything's relative. Right?
I guess it's relative in today's market.
Let's talk about this Bears defense on the day. It seemed like the Browns did get something going on the ground in the third quarter, but up until then, it was pretty solid. This
and you know, and when they did get something going, it was like their worst nightmare because they would move the ball a little bit and then they'd have another turnover, either a fumble or an interception. Something would happen, and that you have to credit the Bears defense with producing those turnovers and forcing those fumbles because it was obvious one guy was wrapping up today. As we always talk about defense, the first guy wrap up, the second guy pull that ball out of there, and that's what was happening.
And a key stat also was on third down. They shut him down on third down.
Oh, really?
1 of 11. 9%.
There you go. There you go.
And that's the ball game right there.
Jerry
kills drives.
Yeah, Jerry hits out in turnovers because when you look at the Bears, all their victories, +9 in their turnovers, all their losses, -9. So turnover ratio, obviously big for the Bears.
And great job today, stripping the rock. Peanut comes through with the pick 6. This is what the Lovie defense thrives on. Again, you got to keep it all in perspective because it's against the 32nd ranked or 31st ranked offense in the National
Football League. But you know what? In about 3 or 4 weeks, that won't make any difference. It'll be a W.
A W is a W. Let's get back to the offense. Devin Hester was targeted the most in this game from Jay Cutler's perspective. I'll tell you what, 23. Right now, the Bears came into this ball game, I think, 5th in the league, 5th fewest drop balls this year. The most questioned unit we had on this team was the wide receiving core. And they've held on to the rock for the most part.
Yeah, and they're starting to do some good things. Remember the big play in the third quarter, Johnny Knox catches that big pass, beats press coverage, a lot of speed on the outside. They're becoming sure-handed receiver. And Devin Hester, what can you say? I think we can all agree now.
Yes.
He's a clear-cut number 1.
Definitely. And he picked it up also on special teams, which is really nice, too.
Yeah, exactly.
He almost broke 2 of them. Well, he did break 2 of them, but 1 got called back for
you know, you look at Devin and his total, contribution was huge today. And, you start thinking about MVPs, you'd like to get him in that conversation in terms of, this game. But you look at the defensive side, and there's just so many guys over there doing great things today.
Wonderful things.
Again, Greg Olsen targeted 4 times, 3 receptions in this game. Ron Turner talked about it this week. He's got to do a better job. Your thoughts on the play calling on the offensive side, guys?
Well, if you talk about the run game, I'm with it. Just bounce it outside a little bit every now and then. I love that. Just line up and punishing somebody and trying to get the flow of this thing going. That's what you have to do. There's no magic solution to running the football. You have to line up and keep doing it. In terms of the passing game, I think that they do need to get a bit more creative because it seems fairly predictable these days.
Well, what seemed odd to me is like here the Bears, obviously they didn't think this was going to be a difficult game because you saw a lot of regular personnel sets by both teams, meaning traditional fullback, I-back, or running back, and 2 wide receivers. And then the Bears, they kind of had a mismatch early in the game when they put in Mike Fury, the Cleveland Browns did, as a nickelback. You thought maybe the Bears would expose that a little bit more, but they said, you want to know what? We need a victory. Let's stick to the basics. The Cleveland Browns are going to give it up, and eventually they did.
Keep in mind, Fury was the guy that used to play receiver for Detroit.
That's right.
He was a wide receiver for Detroit, and then he went to Cleveland as a wide out, and now apparently he's able to play cornerback as well. I didn't know that.
Bears made some lineup changes today. Josh Beekman was inserted at the left guard spot for Frank Omiel, and he is standing by with our Kip Lewis live at Soldier Field. Take it away, Kip.
Thanks, Pat. I am with Josh, and I know for you, you started all the games last season. I know you expected to be the starter. How nice was it finally to get out there and get your opportunity?
Well, it was just nice helping the team. Coach gave us a game plan, told me I would be starting this week, and I got 2 of the greatest players by me, Olin Kreutz and Orlando Pace. Took coaching from them, took coaching from Coach Houston, and try to execute the offense to the best of our ability, and we came up with a win.
How tough was it for you, though, personally, having started all those games last year, not getting the opportunity to at least get out there at the beginning of the year to prove yourself again?
Well, regardless of where you're at, when you're on a 53-man roster, you're preparing to step up as a starter. Frank came in, we were in a competition. I had to be ready just for Garz, Olin, or him, if whatever happens in the game. And, just as vital as me being a starter.
As you know, everyone's talked a lot about this running game. I know it's something that you guys have worked hard at. Lovey talks about it every week. Matt's had to answer a lot of questions. What in particular have you guys tried to do to get the running game to go on a consistent basis?
We just, I think, went out and executed. Coach gave us the game plan. We all bought, and, I sat down and I wanted to do a good job and ask Olin questions and what he wants from me. And in Orlando, being new with him, just asking him, communicating, maybe even a little too much out there, but, just try to help the team and execute the offense.
Josh, hold on a second. A couple of guys in the studio got a couple of questions for you. The real smart guys that keep back in the studio. Go ahead, guys.
Hey, Josh, this is Dan Jiggers. I just wanted to know one thing. In terms of you guys running the football, what was the thought process going into this game? And I always talk about moving the line of scrimmage. And today you guys moved the line of scrimmage. Why hadn't that happened before?
I think we just went to execute the offense. Ron Turner said the first play of the game was going to be a run play, our base play, 16 power roll. We just wanted to come off, set the tempo. I think, everything was clicking today, and we did exactly what we had to do, execute the offense and hustle around the field.
Josh, Jim Miller here, and good to talk to you. When you look at your play and you evaluate how you played today, and a lot of double teams going on Shaun Rogers and stuff like that between you and Olin Kreutz, what can you personally improve upon moving forward to ensure this Bear running game gets cranked up?
Well, I think the knowledge of the game. I think I took a lot of coaching from Olin this week, asked him a lot of questions, how to play against Shaun Rogers, and he had a lot of experience. He had a lot of or answers for me when I asked questions, and I think that knowledge, that resource was a great help for me.
Hey, Josh, one last question about the passing game. We noticed that they were giving you guys a lot of different looks, bouncing linebackers in and out. What was the idea going in where you guys were going to try to pick up the blitzes inside? Because it seemed like there was always one guy coming hot, and he was the loose guy. Was that the quarterback's idea to read him?
Well, we just went to execute the offense. We wanted to pick up whatever we had, our reads. Jay's a competitor. He likes to gunsling it around, and he took a couple hits. He's a warrior, but he kept going, and just to his credit, he led us down the field on a couple key drives, and we just battled out there.
All right, Josh, congratulations on this win, and we will see you next week after the Arizona ball game.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll send it back out to our Kip Lewis as soon as he has another Bears player after the 30-6 victory. After you talked to Josh, your thoughts on what the offensive line was able to do today and the changes that they made?
Well, again, we talk about getting after the run game. They average 4.6 yards per carry. Now, if you go, you kind of distill it down to Matt Forte, he was 3.5 yards per carry. And then that's the idea. You start to work on something, and people will say, look at Cleveland's defense and say, well, those guys are brutal. You should have ran for 500 yards against them. You know what? Progress is progress. You accept it as it is, and you try to grow from it. And that's what they're going to do with the run game. In terms of the passing game, you're going to see those blitzes that Rob Ryan was throwing at them today. You're going to see those again. It's just like last week where we said, as soon as something starts working, the rest of the league picks up on it, and they'll do it until you block it.
Time for another break here on US Cellular Bears Post Game Live. Much more player reaction around the corner. We'll also talk to CSNChicago.com.
Alex actually tried to boot you out of here because he wants to get up here first and get you out of here. Is that how it works?
That's how it works, though. That's how it works. He got to go through his bumps and bruises like I had to. I had to go through mine with Ted Washington and Brian Robinson, Philip Daniels, those older guys. So now these guys, this little man right here, big man, big young man, I guess. He looks at me as the older guy, and it's kind of weird, but it's all right.
Yeah. Turnovers. Lovey's talked about takeaways for you guys. Today you get 5 takeaways. How do you guys continue to do that? I mean, obviously it's something you guys work at a lot, and you were successful at it today.
I honestly think you just play hard. Just keep playing hard and play fast. That's it. You can't, if you think about it too much, then it's going to cause you to miss tackles. You're thinking about the wrong thing. Just go hit the guy, and if you see the ball, snatch at it. That's it. That's pretty much what what we did today. We're able to make the plays. We got some tip balls. We got Mark Anderson. It's going to get lost a little bit, but Mark Anderson had great pressure on the quarterback, Derek Anderson, on Peanut's interception for a touchdown. So that's going to get lost, but that was great pressure by him, which caused an errant throw, and Peanut was able to make the play and bring it in for a touchdown. So.
Can we be honest after the game? You guys talked all week about how good this Cleveland team was on tape. They didn't look very good out there today.
You know what? Everybody has a bad day. We saw that last week, right?
That's all it was?
Yeah. Everybody has a bad day. So we got turnovers, and turnovers, you have 5 turnovers in a game, you usually lose. So that's I've only been a part of one game that we ever won, and we had 5 turnovers. So that's tough. It's tough to win if you have that many turnovers.
Looking ahead, how important is this month of November? I told him what Lovie Smith said. Your thoughts on the month of November? Lovie says it's going to be a crucial month for you guys and will determine where you guys end up at the end of the season.
Well, like they always say, you know what I'm saying, they remember in November. So, I mean, it's very important just to start, you know what I'm saying, the day being the first. So, I mean, it's crunch time right now, so we got to get these wins in.
Marcus, Alex, appreciate your time. You want to send it back to the studio?
Well, yeah, I'm going to send it back to the studio. Being that we have 5 games this November, yeah, it's going to be crucial for the season, yes. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Alex. Thank you, Kip and Marcus. Nice job out there. You can tell
Marcus going with the bro hawk. Huh?
Yeah, you can tell that Florida took care of Georgia yesterday because Alex's wardrobe brought to you by the University of Florida. Let's talk about the 1 sack and the defensive adjustments that were made. It looked like the Bears finally realized that Derek Anderson's not going to beat you through the air.
Yeah.
Let's bring another guy up to the box, and let's force this team to throw. And when they run, they were getting a hat on a hat. But after a while, I mean, they were getting into that second tier, and it was causing some trouble for that Bears linebacker.
Yeah, and then they just decided, you know what, let's put 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the box and let Derek Anderson throw the football into the ground. And that really kind of worked for him today. But you saw one thing, though, that I'm sure is going to still be of concern, and that was certain drives where Jamal Lewis was banging the football. And fortunately for the Bears, they were able to get turnovers based on that, pulling the football out from him. But when you look at those clips where he was, knocking off 8, 9 yards on the clip, that made you a little nervous today. So they're going to have still some work to do. But look, Jamal Lewis has been around the league a long time. I think he's one of the leading rushers in the history of the game.
Well, I think he's rated number 24 right now, and he only needed 73 yards today to eclipse a couple other good guys. But, the key, again, if the Bears in the first half would have scored on those 3 red zone opportunities, it would have forced Cleveland to throw a lot sooner. I mean, we know Cleveland, they're a downhill running team from the get-go, and everybody bangs on Jamal Lewis. The guy's only 30. He can still run, and he's a big bruising back.
Hunter Hillenmeyer leading the way along with Nick Roach with 6 combined tackles on the day. Your thoughts from what we saw? Obviously they made a switch. They put Hunter back at the Mike spot. They moved Roach over to the Sam. And, what you gain in experience and a guy that knows the checks out there, you take away a little bit in the athleticism department. But I guess against the Cleveland Browns, it doesn't really matter.
It's a win-win, though, because what you get is Hunter, who has played the middle before on an extended basis, understands the calls when they come in very quickly. Sometimes you have to get everyone lined up, and we talked about that last week and the difference between having Brian out there and not. And now Nick gets to go back over to Sam, the position that he had been playing before, and really has a good feel for. So it worked out for both of them.
Time to bring in CSNChicago.com writer John Moon Mullen from Soldier Field for the full moon on the Bears' victory today. And John, obviously a better situation than last week in Cincinnati, but certainly the 30-6 outcome. It's kind of like pizza. It's never bad. It was just kind of, it was all right.
Get on the other side.
We'll let Tommy Harris hear this.
Hey, let's get Tommy on there. Why don't you talk to Tommy? Would he like to go for it? Take it away.
Well, actually, Tommy Harris said if they listened to the media, they would never play a game. So this was probably a step in the right direction as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, I guess so. We had a great game out there. The guys came out, we played hard, we focused, and we looked well out there.
Yeah. By the way, Tommy gave an Incredible Hulk figurine to Daniel Manning, and Daniel Manning played like the Incredible Hulk. Is this going to be a weekly thing?
Yeah, I told him to lock it up in his locker, so that's his deal. I knew about it in college that he used to love the Hulk, and he did a lot of stuff about the Hulk, so I brought him one in there today, and just to bring that old child back up in him, the kid that made all the plays at Abilene Christian, and that's what he did. Came out there and just had fun.
Yeah, what's kind of fun is this is a subdued locker room, would you say? I mean, you guys didn't get too high about this. It just seemed to be like Wale said, it's just about wins and losses.
Yeah, that's it.
So, and Tommy actually said that you said it was like a preseason game in some respect.
No, the pace of it started to feel so like 3 and outs, coming up 3 and outs, and just it felt like a slow win. I've never felt anything like it.
Now, we want to ask Tommy about his knee, because what knee?
Yeah, what knee? Great job, mother.
Done with us? I don't know if they're done with us or not.
All right, love you guys. Chicago, I love you guys. I play my heart out for you guys. 1.
All right, good to see. Well, it was good to see Tommy back on the field, not only at practice this week, but certainly today. He means a lot to this defense. Hopefully, over these last 9 ball games, we'll begin to see the Tommy that we've seen in years past. But Moon, other than Tommy's performance, what did you take away from this victory today?
Well, I think the interesting thing in the locker room to me was there was one guy who was actually testy. It was Ron Turner. I don't know if you guys had anything from him, but he was very short with his answers, not happy with his own coaching, not happy with the execution. I mean, I'm not sure when the last time I saw a team score 30 points and the O coordinator is upset. But, we mentioned the incredible Hulk figure, and I wouldn't minimize a little thing like that. It put some smiles on guys' faces, and after the last 2 games, that was a big deal. So Daniel Manning appreciated it. That little kind of stuff is what can turn some things around.
Well, you can understand why Ron Turner was not in the best of moods after this ball game. 6 trips to the red zone. They only come away with the 2 touchdowns. Your thoughts on the play calling from that perspective with Ron Turner in this offense?
Oh, it's so hard. Here I go. I have to wait till I see the film. No, the hard thing about that is you don't know who blew an assignment. Josh Beekman says, "Well, I blew an assignment that resulted in the Shaun Rogers sack." It really is. I mean, to be fair, you don't know who wasn't getting open. Didn't it seem to you that Jay Cutler was holding the ball awfully long? Was it the receivers not working? Was it the O-line breaking down? This is truly one of those things. He wasn't happy because it was a very quiet 30 points.
Yeah, John, I mean, at times they were only rushing 3 men, and you would think that that would be plenty of protection. At times, Jay seemed to be rushed. At other times, he didn't have the best pocket presence in the world. What did you take away from the defensive effort? Great to see the turnovers coming through and the takeaway situation for Lovey's D.
Well, again, go back to the the mood of the locker room. There was a very businesslike. They held this team to 6 points to 1 touchdown, and I actually like when I see guys not getting too high, on wins like this, or too low if it's a loss that's close. Statistically, the defensive performance was good. To me, it's how they respond emotionally to this, and not to get falsely confident, because I think there was some overconfidence. And guys had mentioned that to me before the Atlanta game, even after the Atlanta game, when they really outgained and held Matt Ryan down. If you can believe it, a little bit of overconfidence crept in. They didn't have any of that in the locker room today.
Any other tidbits or nuggets out of that Bears locker room after the win?
No, just talking to Tommy Harris about his Hulk figurine. I can't give you a Hulk pose. I'm not dressed for it.
All right, Moon. We'll save that for next Halloween. Thanks for your work, and we'll look forward to seeing it on CSNChicago.com.
Thanks, guys.
All right, as we head to break, let's check out our U.S. Cellular poll question again. After the 30-6 victory over the Browns, do you feel any better about this Bears team? Yes. Good to see them win. No, it was, against the Browns. Or C, not sure. I'm confused, like the Bears in the red zone. Go to CSNChicago.com. Vote away. You can check out Moon Mullen's work there as well. We'll have the results coming up later in U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. Okay. Jamal Lewis with 16 carries for 69 yards, 4.3 yards per carry. Matt Forte with his 2nd career 2-touchdown performance. Did it against St. Louis in his rookie campaign. Came in with just 1 touchdown on the year. Good to see Matt finding the end zone, guys.
Yeah, and finally to see him banging on a consistent basis too. I think there's only one way to work yourself out of a funk, at that position and with your offensive line, and that's to keep at it. It's one of those things where you just have to go to work every day and lock yourself in and understand that this is what we got to do, fellas, in order for this offense to be successful.
And also credit the coaching staff too for just basically staying with the run. They didn't really get out of the run. They stayed with the run, and they got a lot of success running off tackle, which finally they finally picked up, because Forte seems to be a good runner when he gets outside.
Well, it seems like he's one of those guys that can get to the line of scrimmage, wait a little while, and let a hole develop, and then he'll take advantage of it. He's not a guy that's going to hit it right through the hole, right up through the line of scrimmage and blast that way.
Matt addressed the media a short time ago at Soldier Field. Let's listen in.
24 points Turner says the offense has to get done.
We could have won by a lot more. We got in the red zone a bunch of times. But I think we had 3 field goals in the first half that pushed the touchdown. And then we got stopped on the fourth down on the goal line. So, that's a possible 35 points or 28 points that we could have had.
What's not clicking?
We just got to, execute. When you don't execute in the red zone, you only have 4 downs to get it in there. So when you don't execute, it's tough to get a touchdown. You get field goals.
Season's almost half over. Bears fans are a little wondering when are you guys going to find the answer? Do you think it's coming soon?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not worried about it. I think that the more experience we get, game experience, I think it'll come.
How would you assess your performance today against the Cleveland Browns?
I would say I did average. It wasn't great. I didn't break any long runs. As a running back, you're not going to get a big run every time, but you look to get at least one explosive run in a game.
Now, did you find any inspiration at all in the whole build-up to being Walter Payton?
Of course. It's Walter Payton. It's Walter Payton. The history of Walter Payton, and he was the Bears, the greatest, possibly the greatest running back ever. Hey, y'all get out of his locker. He need to
be at the 2-yard line, first down at the 2-yard line.
All right, Matt Forte after his 2-touchdown performance. I thought it was telling what John Mullins said as far as Ron Turner was perturbed in that locker room. Obviously, a lot of the emails coming into CSNChicago.com calling for Turner, upset with the play calling. It's something we've seen now for a few years coming into this particular show. What did you take away when Mullen said that about Turner?
Well, I figured anytime you have that many shots in the red zone, and again, you're coming away with field goals, not even getting first downs, the offensive coordinators can't be happy with those situations. Those are opportunities there to put the game out of reach early on in the football game, and they fail to do it. And then Robbie Gould has to come in and rescue him, basically. So that's what he's upset about, I'm sure. And then when you get down again, and I'll go back this and I'll go back to it until they decide to run one in from 1 yard out, you can't have the football down there and not score a touchdown.
Well, I think for me, lack of execution, and let's be honest, Jay Cutler's going to be pretty sore tomorrow and the next day. He took some shots out there. So I think also he was a little upset that guys weren't really sorting it out at the line of scrimmage in terms of the pass protection. Ron's probably mad at himself for one of those red zone calls early, but the other stuff was lack of execution. The mesh, like I said, on the Wildcat formation where Forte and Hester couldn't line it up, he'll blame himself on that screen call. It's hard to run a screen that takes time to develop down the field, especially in red zone. There's nowhere for the defense to drop. So, he's probably mad at himself for that call, but some of it was just lack of execution. Essentially,
what happens down there is the end line becomes another defender.
Absolutely.
So, it boxes you out, basically. But I also think that what he's going to be upset about is whether or not Jay was making the right reads, but whether or not he was bringing in the right calls and the right personnel to go against some of the defenses that Rob Ryan was throwing against. And Rob did a nice job today in terms of mixing up his personnel. And we were talking about sometimes you just saw a 3-man rush and 6 DBs back there.
All right, coming up, we're going to hear from Ron Turner. We'll be able to listen to the Bears offensive coordinator and his take on this game. Let's take a look at the early scores from Week 8 of the National Football League. Oh, yeah. Lions, Rams. It doesn't get any better than that. St. Louis picks up the victory there. How about the Broncos? No longer undefeated. The Ravens take care of them at home. By the way, Kyle Orton in that game, 23 of 37, $152, no touchdowns, no interceptions. I've heard that stat line before. Cowboys take care of the Seahawks, 38-17, the final in that one. The Dolphins win on the road at the Meadowlands, 30-25, their second win over the Jets this year. How about the Colts? 18-14 over the 49ers. So we will see the 49ers in a couple of weeks. Elsewhere, the Bills and the Texans. Houston takes care of that one. 31-10 is your final. Coming back with Ron Turner after this. NFL. Who's hot? How about Donovan? Mount Carmel man, 17-23, 3 touchdowns as the Eagles dismantle the Giants 40-17 in South Philly this afternoon. Ryan Moats, 23 carries, 3 touchdowns for the Texans in their win on the road. Reggie Wayne, a big target today, 12 catches in the Colts victory over the Niners. Matthew Stafford, he comes back from injury, intercepted and sacked a couple of times. Derek Anderson, I have a feeling he's going to be on here every week. And Eli Manning obviously dealing with an injury there for the Giants as they lose their 3rd in a row today. Ron Turner addressed the media a short time ago. 6 trips to the red zone. The Bears produced just 2 touchdowns.
Like at least from your...
We didn't play very well. Execution wasn't very good. We've got to take a good look at what we're doing, make sure we're not doing too much because we're not executing like we should right now.
You made sort of a change in the offensive line. Did you see any upgrade, any difference?
I don't know. We'll have to look at the film. You know, it's not, as I said last week going into the week, it wasn't one possession offensive line. You know, we need to just execute better and quit hurting ourselves. We need to do that today.
Lovey's just saying that you guys are committed more so to running the ball. Can you talk about that philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, that's always been our philosophy. We always want to run the ball, you know, and we're committed to executing better is what we're committed to.
Is the frustration kind of encapsulated by getting the ball down on the 2-yard line there in the 4th quarter, not being able to punch it in?
Well, it's typical of what we do. If we have mental errors and not doing what we're supposed to do, we're not going to score.
How many times was your heart in your throat with some of the hits that Jay was taking?
Obviously, you know, we don't want that to happen. We just got to, you know, we got to get better.
Is that them just bringing more people than you guys can handle, or breakdowns?
We just got to play better. We're not playing well enough right now.
What does it say about him that he takes all?
And that includes coaching. That's not just players. When I say playing better, I'm talking about all of us. We got to execute and play better.
What does it say about him that he takes all those hits and he just keeps getting up?
This says what we all know about him. He's a great player. He's extremely tough. He's a great competitor. He's a great football player.
What aspect do you want to get better at?
All. Coaching, everything. All. Playing, coaching, everything.
How unexpected is that this time of season to say that you got to get better at everything?
I don't know. Well, I know we do.
Have you felt this strongly about needing to get better after a 24-point win before, or is this kind of a different feeling?
Actually, I have, but yeah. Yeah, we got to get better. I mean, bottom line.
Jason.
Okay?
Anything else? I guess just wondering, I guess, how frustrating in particular that maybe he's getting a first down at the 2 and not getting any points?
It's frustrating, but not a whole lot more than a lot of other things that went on.
Ron Turner going Brian Urlacher from 2 years ago on it. I've never seen him that short with the media.
Yeah.
And that was after a win.
Very brief.
Yeah. So the 30 points, 369 total yards. Obviously, he was not happy going up against the 32nd ranked defense in the league and that kind of production.
Well, I think they could have really taken the Cleveland Browns out of the game a lot earlier. Jiggs touched on it, early. But when you're down inside the red zone, those are prime scoring opportunities, and the Bears blew it, especially on those 3 occasions. I go on it in the first half alone. It doesn't sit well in your gut because the Bears are much better than what they've shown all year. They really are. Once they put it together, these guys are going to be lethal, but they just can't seem to do it consistently.
Well, you go back to what the whole premise that Lovie Smith has established with his team is. Number 1, play good, solid defense, create turnovers, and get good field position, be that through special teams or, your defense presenting the offense with outstanding field position, and then the offense has to take care of that field position and score points. And that's the thing that last thing is left out today, and that's what leaves that empty feeling, I think, inside of a lot of the folks on the offensive side of the ball. They had great field position and didn't do anything with it.
Coming up after the break, I'm going to ask you guys what unit you feel more comfortable with, the Bears offense or the Bears defense. And we'll also hear from Devin Hester on this day. A lot more to come here on US Cellular Bears Postgame Live. We're taking you to the bottom of the hour when the Bulls will have Bulls pregame live, getting ready for Dwayne Wade and the Heat coming your way at 5 o'clock. For a complete breakdown of today's game, join Luke Canellis and Jiggs tomorrow at 5 for Bears Recap. You hear Lovey's day after press conference. Jiggs will break down the key plays. It's Bears Recap, brought to you by United, right here on Comcast Sports at Mondays at 5. try the veal mangini. It's delicious. There were bigger holes in the Soldier Field porta potties than were made by the Bears O-line. Your thoughts on Mangini? The guy's, I mean, you know, I don't know what they're going to end up doing with him in Cleveland, but it seems like he's already lost a big part of that team and the fan base.
Next.
Exactly.
That would be my idea. Next, let's. Rob Ryan, I suspect that if things don't turn around very quickly, Rob Ryan will be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
I started this show by saying, you know, a win is a win is a win. You always feel good about a win, but this one, So I say this going forward. If the Bears are going to make the postseason, you say, okay, well, where are they most efficient? Where do they need to improve? What do you feel good about? What part of this, and I'll take special teams out of the equation, offense or defense, what unit do you feel more comfortable with right now after Week 8? Jake, start with you.
I'm probably going to go with the defense and talk about, you know, the fact that I think that the defensive line, the linebackers, again, have gone through some different issues there with injuries. With all of that into consideration, I probably look at the defense and feel more comfortable there. I like what Jay Cutler's done on the offensive side of the ball, though. I think he's made a group of what we're going to have as maybe term average receivers a lot better and help them come along a lot faster. And I'm looking at the Devin Hesters and Johnny Knox of the world and thinking of those guys.
For me, I'd have to go defense because you've seen the defense adjust. We always talk about adjustments. Well, they have. Urlacher's been out. Guys have been hurt. Tommy Harris in and out. Whether it's Hunter Hillemeyer, Nick Roach, they shorted up. They've made the adjustments. And today, obviously, a solid effort against the Cleveland Browns. The Bears are talented on offense. If they put it together again and this team gets hot, look out. And they got to play Minnesota twice. That's going to be the key for the Bears.
Yeah, definitely. And I would have to go with the defense as well because, you know, just like Jake said and like Jim said, they've gone through adversity, but they've put it all together. And when they put it together, they become a very special unit, as you saw today with 5 turnovers and things like that. So I'm going to have to go with the defense on this.
Devin Hester was the prime target for Jay Cutler on this day. He was targeted 8 times, comes up with 7 catches for 81 yards. Almost took one back today on a punt return. He addressed the media a short time ago. Let's listen in.
Ron just seemed a little frustrated offensively with the way things have gone, you know, insisting that you have to improve. Obviously you do, but he seemed a little bit more frustrated with not being able to sustain some drives. Are you guys feeling that too a little bit?
Yeah, we are. You know, it's a couple times we're down on the red zone and settle for the field goal. You know, it's up to the players. You know, at the end of the day, we're the ones that got to punch it in there and get it in the end zone. You know, I think the first 3 times we showed up in the red zone, we settled for field goals and knew it should have been touchdowns. So that's some of the things we got to correct. You know, we're going to go in and watch film and see what happened and what went wrong and try to correct it. Get it ready for next week.
As the calendar's slipping in November now, were you at least hoping to be a little farther along in terms of the execution and the results the offense was getting?
No, we doing some great things, you know. Doing some things we thought we weren't going to be up to this part, you know, and there's some things that we see that we need to improve on. So, you know, that's basically how the season goes. You know, we're going to go in and watch film this week and better ourselves and hoping that we can, you know, make it right, make all the correction rights, and then hoping that we can have it for next week.
At least heartened by the fact that you got Matt a 100-yard game, and hopefully that'll springboard kind of some better things next week.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we got the running game going this week, you know, and that's something that we've been harping hard on, you know, is to get the running game and hoping that it open up the pass game. And, you know, Matt came out 100 yards today, and it proved that we are capable of still running the ball. So.
Any early frustration? You guys were moving the ball, getting in the red zone, but you couldn't punch in the touchdown.
Whenever you get points on the board, that's a win, you know. And first 3 opportunities we got close to the red zone. We're down in the red zone, so that's a good thing for us. Our offense, and we just know we got to punch it in there. And you know, we're not really settled for the field goals and hoping that we can get in the end zone. But if not, we'll take 3 points.
It's Devin Hester after the 36th victory. Time for another break here on USA. There. Bears post-game live. Don't forget to check out csnchicago.com. We have Lovey and Jay Cutler's press conferences up there right now, plus John Moon Mullins' thoughts on today's victory.
I'm picking Peanut Tillman. I'm going on the defensive side. Peanut, I mean, he was everywhere on the football field. He got a pick 6, you know, when basically the offense couldn't score at that point in time. But pick six, he was everywhere. Forced fumble recovery. He's all over the place. Peanut Tillman
shadowing Massaquoi to start the game, and the rookie was pretty much shut down. Jim, what do you have for
I've got to go with Danny Manning because he really made the Superman play of the day, diving, getting that interception, had a fumble recovery, a forced fumble, 6 tackles on the day. Danny Manning, that's quite a day, and congratulations.
And since they won, I'm going to go with both of them because I think both of them had very productive days. Both of them were responsible for points going up on the board, and I think when you have that level of excellence, it has to be recognized.
I'm going to recognize the offense. 30 points, some of that obviously coming from the defense thanks to Peanut Tillman's pick 6, but I'll go with Matt Forte. 2 touchdowns. He doubles his touchdown output on the year. His second career 2-touchdown performance on the ground. He is my Bears MVP. Here is the results now through Week 8. Devin Hester and Wale still in the lead with 6 apiece, followed by Lance, Jay, and Johnny Knox. We're coming back. We'll talk a little bit about Walter Payton on the 10-year anniversary of his passing and the poll results. Do you feel any better about this team? Here's what you had to say after logging on to CSNChicago.com. 54% say no. This is against now a 1-7 team. 28% said not sure. Confused like that Bears offense in the red zone. 18% said yes. It's always good to see a win. Thank you to the over 600 of you that logged on to CSNChicago.com and helped us out.
Just think if they had lost it.
Yeah, well, that usually changes things. Like last week, we had over 1,100 after that ugly loss. It was a special day on the lakefront, and certainly wasn't for the ball game. Today was the 10-year anniversary of the passing of Walter Payton. I know you know him. I know you know his family well. Your thoughts on this day? It is hard to believe that it's been 10 years since
it really is. When we think back to that day in Soldier Field when we held a memorial ceremony for Walter and the feelings that you had that day and how much you miss him. You miss his smile. You miss him running around with all of his mischief and everything else. And you see his kids grown and out in the world working. And Connie's remarried now after 10 years. So yeah, a lot has changed, but so much remains the same. That's his home down there at Soldier Field, and he certainly made it comfortable for everybody every time he lined up.
Right, it was real special, especially at the halftime what they did for Walter Payton. But it was kind of unusual because I would think that, with 34 all over the place and Walter Payton all over the place, that they would at least put him on the program. And not that they kind of dropped the ball there. They kind of pound-failed on that one right there. But other than that, it's Walter Payton is going to live on, and the legacy is going to live on, and he's just a tremendous guy.
And it's so interesting to see Jared and how he's grown up now, and Brittany, she's on television now, so, I'm sure he'd be very happy.
One, I was slow and I wasn't tough, but I bought kangaroos. Remember those shoes? Just because of Walter Payton.
Did you have to mention headband?
It didn't help me out, but I'll tell you what, his toughness, his professionalism, and his desire to be great separates him from everybody.
And I'll tell you about that Lamborghini that they gave to him, the blue Lamborghini, and he wouldn't let any of the offensive linemen sit in it because he said, "You're going to break the seats, man. I can't let y'all sit in there."
And they got to get that statue put somewhere near Soldier Field. I know that's the big
I think Grant Park would be a great place because you have more foot traffic there than Soldier Field. Soldier Field, again, for the Bears games, it gets a lot of use. But other than that, for the other 300 some odd days, I think Grant Park would probably be a better spot.
Well, next week it'll be the Arizona Cardinals, the defending NFC champs, making their way to Soldier Field. And currently, right now, they're trailing the Panthers at home 28-7. Wow. With Kurt Warner in that offense, you could certainly come back. But let's say they do come in after a loss. They'd be at 4-3 on the year. Do you think our offense could keep up with this offense if they're working on all cylinders like we've seen? I mean, they went to New York a couple weeks ago and absolutely looked tremendous.
I think that our offense here with the Bears can keep up with the Cardinals' offense if the Bears defense plays like they did today. Right. I think so much of it is dependent upon the Bears defense presenting the offense with opportunities like they did today on more than one occasion, but it's incumbent upon the offense then to take advantage of them and score touchdowns. And again, that's the hole in the heart today, is the fact that the offense didn't take advantage and put 7 points up on the board on 4 or 5 occasions when they could have.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. For Jerry Zuma, Jim Miller, Dan Jiggets, Kip Lewis, John Moon Mullen, I am Pat Boyle. We'll see you next week after that Bears-Cardinals game. Coming up next, it's Bulls pregame live, followed by the Bulls taking on Dwayne Wade, the Miami Heat, at the top of the hour. Enjoy the game, everybody. Go Bears. We'll see you next week.
Be before kickoff. One-sided in the opening half in favor of Minnesota. Green Bay's had the ball 4 possessions in this half and scored on every possession. Breaking a tackle is Kuhn, and he's out to the 34. Boy, he's a load to bring down, is Mr. John Kuhn.
A pretty impressive second half here by this offensive line and the protection that they are now affording Aaron Rodgers. You know, good coverage again, much like what we saw there in that first half by this secondary for the Minnesota Vikings. But because he had time, he was then able to come underneath to Kuhn and make it a positive play.
Bad snap. Rodgers able to get his hands on it and then throws complete over the middle to midfield to Donald Driver. Penalty flag down behind the line of scrimmage. Driver's shaken up after making the catch.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 91, unnecessarily threw the quarterback into the ground. The 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down.
It starts with a bad snap by Scott Wells, and you know, just an excellent job there by Aaron Rodgers of keeping the play alive and being able to find Driver. And there's the hit by Ray Edwards. You know, I don't know. I mean, the official made that sound like it was pretty serious. I mean, he just came in and made a tackle. I don't know what a penalty is anymore on a quarterback, but good execution there by Green Bay and Donald Driver being able to make that catch.
They're still taking a look at Driver. He has been such a huge weapon, a 3-time Pro Bowler. Surpassed Shannon Sharpe this season to become the franchise's all-time leader in career receptions. And this crowd is trying to will Donald Driver to get to his feet.
Well, I can tell you this, if there's any way that Donald Driver can get back out on that field and play, he'll play. He's one of the most competitive guys in all of football. One of the toughest guys as well.
They attack on the 15 yards, and it's first down Green Bay at the Minnesota 35-yard line. 7:24 to go, and Green Bay trailing by 5.
And they bring in Jake Allen, who was just signed off the practice squad this week.
Allen, number 13. Blitz coming. Rodgers gets it away. And Jennings slips a tackle and turns it into a 9-yard pickup.
You know, Jared Allen this time tries the bull rush on TJ Lang, and he holds up pretty good. You know, that's not easy to do, and yet he was able to hold up, and then Jared Allen is setting him up because he'll do the bull rush, and then what you're going to see is Jared Allen come with some kind of outside speed rush here real soon.
Donald Driver checks back in for the Packers. And Rodgers is out of sack. They're saying Jared Allen is saying sack, and the officials agree.
Yeah, he went down on a knee, and TJ Lang did such a good job that this time they decided they wouldn't put anybody on Jared Allen. You know, he just got a free run. Obviously, that's not what was drawn up. I mean, I knew a speed rush was coming, but I thought at least somebody would try to slow him down.
Third down and 8. Blitz coming again. They pick it up. Rodgers to Driver, and nearly intercepted by Benny Sapp. So a 3rd and 8, an incomplete pass by Rodgers, who limps off the field. He's brought his team back from a 24-3 deficit to make it a 5-point game. And again, Rodgers will be looked at over on the Green Bay sideline. This will be a long field goal try for Mason Crosby. 51 yards. He's hit on 1 of 3 from 50 and beyond this year. No good. We thought early on this would turn into a blowout. All the anticipation of Brett Favre's return to Green Bay for the first time as a visiting player. The sacks were piling up again as they did in the first meeting between these two teams. And Favre was rolling. But in the second half, Green Bay's offense has come alive. A touchdown pass to Haebner. Dugan a touchdown catch to swing the momentum the other way. But then Green Bay scored to make it a 31-26 game. Favre gets the ball back with 5:38 to go. And he's throwing on first down. A screen to Adrian Peterson, who rushes down the sideline, cuts it back to the inside, and tackled at the 14-yard line.
You know, once Adrian Peterson gets to the outside and the offensive line doing such a good job, Steve Hutchinson, the left guard, he's the one who really sealed it all off and kept anybody from being able to get in pursuit of Adrian Peterson until he was well down the field.
A 44-yard gain. Peterson leapfrogs one tackler and then is dropped after a very short gain. Obviously, for the Green Bay defense here, Troy, it's got to be a field goal, which would leave you within 8. Touchdown, 2-point conversion, a tie.
Yeah, because if you look at the clock and you say if this becomes a 2-possession game for Green Bay, I think they're going to just run out of time. So, you know, this is critical for Green Bay to hold them to nothing more than a field goal attempt.
Chester Taylor caught from behind by Matthews. Boy, his daddy was a great football player for so many years in Cleveland.
Clay Matthews just comes right down the line, and oftentimes that's the guy who's unaccounted for. You're just hoping that he's going to play maybe the naked from the quarterback off the back, and Clay Matthews did not, and made for an easy tackle for a loss.
Troy, you and I were so excited, our entire crew, I think everybody across America that loves watching the NFL, knowing that this game was finally here, and all the buildup of Brett Favre coming back to Green Bay. He's played beautifully. It's turned into a good game. It looked like Green Bay was going to get run out of their own gym there for a while.
Yeah, it sure did. And yeah, I think you got to give Green Bay credit for the way that they came out here in this second half. I'd like to have known what Mike McCarthy might have said to that offensive line going in there at halftime, because they've blocked much better here in the second half. And as a result, you know, it's allowed Green Bay to get back into this ball game and turn it into something, and now the game really comes down to what's about to happen here for the Minnesota Vikings offensively.
Well, the Packers have just spent their final timeout, so if they get the football back, and obviously they're hoping for just a field goal in this situation, they'll have plenty of time, but no timeouts left for Green Bay. Favre, a short drop. Catch is made and close to the end zone. Touchdown, Bernard Berrian. Fourth touchdown pass of the game for number 4.
Well, the Green Bay Packers, they brought the blitz off of that side, thinking that if they could get to Favre or at least make him get the ball out of his hands, that they could then come up and make a tackle short of the first down. Didn't happen that way.
Well, for Brett Favre, only fitting it would be a record-setting day. 21st time in his career, 4 touchdowns or more in a game.
You see him right here. They come with the pressure, and yet Favre does have to get the ball out. They just allowed Bernard Berrien to come off the line of scrimmage, you know, really uncontested. And Favre is as good as there is in the league at sensing the blitz, getting it out. He got it out quick and gave Berrien an opportunity to then make a play after the catch.
With the 21 games of 4 or more touchdown passes, Favre has tied Dan Marino for the most such games in NFL history. In the first game against his former team, Favre became the first quarterback in NFL history to beat all 32 teams in a career. Threw for 271 yards in that game, 3 touchdowns without a pick. So in 2 games against Green Bay, 7 touchdown passes for Brett Favre. Lamont Green to the 26-yard line. Don't forget, stay tuned for the OT presented by Lowe's. And that will carry you right up to World Series action from Philadelphia, Game 4. The Yankees and the Phils.
You know, it's really not all that surprising, is it, Tom, that he's done what he's done against the Green Bay Packers this year. I mean, he's always, you know, throughout his career has had a real flair for the moment. And I think anybody who has followed Brett Favre, I can't imagine anybody that hasn't, you know, fully expected him to come out here tonight and play well.
Rodgers had an open receiver, but boy, did he take a hit from Jimmy Kennedy just as he threw the football. And Rodgers telling the training staff, don't even bother.
Yeah, right at the end of this, you're going to see it as he gets it right up the middle. Jimmy Kennedy, and you know, those are the kind. There's a lot of hits on a quarterback that don't hurt as bad as what they might look. That's not one of them. When you're stepping into a throw and you're taking a helmet right to the midsection.
Catch by Donald Driver for a very short gain. 3rd down upcoming, and again Green Bay out of timeouts.
Yeah, and Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator, still bringing pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And you know, this game, the first time, a lot of yards picked up by Green Bay in a similar situation when they were down 2 scores. And I don't think Leslie Frazier wants to see that happen again.
First down catch made by Lee, steps out of bounds, stopping the clock with 3:10 to go.
First down.
Ted Thompson, the general manager, executive vice president. And so many have linked Ted Thompson and his relationship, or lack thereof, with Brett Favre leaving Green Bay at the end of the 2007 season.
Let's go.
So, you know, Troy, I thought that you were the one who put it best. Well, we were talking about all this a couple of days ago and how you've always felt like, you know, everything may not turn out perfect, but perhaps if everybody would have sat down, and we're not going to rehash history or blame someone here or blame the organization there. Nobody won on that deal.
Well, I would just say this. I'm not so sure that Brett Favre ever wanted to come back and play for the Green Bay Packers. And I think that that's a side of it that a lot of people have never taken the time to really consider.
Rodgers throws, and it's incomplete. He had an eye on Jennings, who is well covered by Carl Paymer. There is a penalty flag down. Or no, an injured player down, I'm sorry, and it is Jennings. No flag on the play.
You see exactly what happened to Jennings at the end of this play. You see, just giving him a shot along the sideline, and Comes down, I don't know if it's shoulder or what might have happened there. And Favre given the call.
You know, the legendary baseball broadcaster Harry Carey used to say to me regularly when we worked together for many years in Chicago, there's 3 sides to every story, Tom. Your side, my side, and the truth. And I'm not sure if anyone is ever going to know the entire story, as it appears Jennings is okay, of why Brett Favre was not a Green Bay Packer at the end of 2007. But hopefully a night like tonight is a night where everybody can just move on, because the full circle has now been completed. You see him in a Vikings uniform. He plays the Packers in Minnesota. He comes here and plays the Packers at Lambeau Field. Life will move on.
Well, I think that sounds real good. I'm not so sure life just moves on for the Green Bay Packer fans.
Catch made over the middle by James Jones, and that is a first down to keep this drive alive with 2:51 left. Penalty flag all the way back at the 30-yard line. So that completion may be coming back.
Holding, offense number 78. 10-yard penalty, repeat, 3rd down.
You know, I will go back though, Tom, and you know, we talked about it coming into this ball game. I really, this was an important game for everybody. You know, everybody for both teams. It's important for Brett Favre. Everybody wanted to know how Brett Favre felt about coming into Lambeau and playing. I still maintain that this game meant more, or was more important to Aaron Rodgers than it was to Brett Favre. Brett Favre's had a Hall of Fame career. I mean, that career has been played out. It's been great. We all know that. Aaron Rodgers just commenced on his career, and he's trying to build a legacy of his own and prove to a lot of people that he is the franchise.
Then complete on 3rd down.
Complete to Jones. That's by Griffin.
And Favre had something to say there to Greg Jennings when he got up to walk off the field that brought a laugh. And you know, I know that Brett sure thinks a lot of Greg Jennings, and really a lot of these guys with this team. Greg Jennings played well for old number 4 when they were on the team together.
Rodgers on 4th down. Lets it fly incomplete, and that ought to do it. So Favre will start the celebration with his Minnesota Viking teammates.
Well, I know when we visited with him the other day, and he, you know, he didn't really want to commit too much as to what this game meant. And I think the big reason was because he was afraid of putting too much of an emphasis on this game. And then if he were to not come out and play well, or the team weren't to play well and they lose, then, you know, maybe they put too much into one ball game, and how do you rebound then from that? And as was the case the last time he played against the Packers, I think we'll get a better indication as to what this game meant with his comments following the game.
Well, Minnesota 2 minutes and 20 seconds away from a 7-1 start, their best start since the 2000 season. They've now won 16 of their last 20 games, and this will be the first sweep against their rival Packers since 2005. Next week is a bye week. This will take us to the 2-minute warning. 16 glorious years wearing the green and gold, and 2 minutes away from winning one wearing the purple and white. And clearly the coverage of Favre coming back here during this entire week and all the way through the Sunday papers today. Thought they did a really nice job of trying to put into perspective on so many levels the relationship the fans in Green Bay had with Favre. I mean, when he came here, he's a guy in his early 20s. Liked to hang out in the bars and do what a lot of guys in their 20s like to do that are single. Then he got married, became a father. Remember the Monday night game where his dad had died the night before? He comes out, clearly a very emotional night. They rooted for his wife, Deanna. She was battling breast cancer. I mean, they watched this guy go from a young man to an adult, much like fans in Dallas watched you do the same thing after you left UCLA. And really a lot of nice stories written, even with the rivalry and maybe some of the bad blood that has transpired since he left here 2 years ago.
Well, it's been a love affair with Brett Favre and the fans here in Green Bay for 16 years. You know, and no one would have ever thought that you would see someone like Brett with the career that he had go on and play anywhere else. And it's been hard. I mean, it's been emotional for those that have been a part of it, the players, Brett Favre, but it's been emotional for these fans for all the reasons that you just said. You know, I'm asked a lot as to what I'm most impressed with at 40 years old about Brett playing, and it hasn't really been his performance, because you kind of expect that. It's been that he's been able to come back each week and play. And you talked about this being their bye week. Well, this comes at a really good time for Brett Favre. In fact, he said that this week he missed some practice time for the first time and had to get into the cold plunge, which is, I never liked getting into it because it is so cold, but he had to get into it just to try to get ready for this ball game here today. And I think that's the big question. You know, is he going to maintain this level of play as we move through this season?
And you look at this Minnesota team, you and I in the last 3 weeks have seen two of the best teams in the NFC, Minnesota and New Orleans. Saints are still undefeated. Could you imagine those two teams getting together in a dome?
Well, I will tell you that, you know, now having seen the Vikings and also having covered the Saints this year, I think the Saints, as we sit here tonight, are the cream of the crop in the NFC.
We're down to only 2 unbeatens. Matt Flynn takes over at quarterback. And they pitch it once, then a fumble.
Matt Flynn's pass complete to Lee, lateral to Driver.
And it's covered up by Green Bay. Well, Brett Favre will receive congratulations from his teammates. We're going to stop the clock with 2 seconds remaining. And now it'll expire, and the Vikings go to 7-1. The Packers slip to 4-3. Former Packers Ryan Longwell and Brett Favre celebrating a 38-26 win. Troy enjoyed it. We send you now bonus coverage to the desert, where Chris Myers and Brian Billick will take you home from the Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals. So long, everybody.